4. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Wow. Sue Thomas is dressing up this week, Fred. You notice that?
Yeah, I
She's
do.
got
You
some
guys,
job
I'm
interviews. I'm a
wearing
little worried.
jeans.
Are you going, are you leaving us? Are you interviewing somewhere else?
I didn't see her bottom half.
Yeah,
she
the
doesn't
bottom
have
half
jeans. Okay.
is reassuring.
At least she has
Nice
something
top.
on the bottom half, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's doubly
I wasn't
reassuring.
sure what was
Yes.
going on there. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Ethan, can you do me a huge favor and open up those blinds just a little bit? It's
Anything
such a
for you,
beautiful
Mark.
day. We have the big switch over here in the studio. And Annie, because she has a lot more use of the cameras because she's a lot nicer to look at on camera than I am. And then they keep the sunlight out because of that, but I like to allow the sunlight in. We had this discussion a couple of days ago. Like, I used to have this fight when I was on Camo X with, not like a real fight, but it was a bit of a battle between Carol Daniel, one of my former colleagues, and then Bill Reeker, who was a news guy. When I wrapped my show at 6 o'clock, because I did 2 to 6 for a while over there, the second I left the studio, Bill Reeker would come in and flip the fluorescent lights on. And Carol would like the fluorescents. Like when Rush was on, when Limbaugh was on, there was nobody else in the studio, just news people. So I'd have to go in there, and I'd have to be really careful because, and I get it, she's anchoring a newscast, right? But I didn't want to flip the lights like right in the middle of Carol's newscast, so I would wait, like literally wait until she locked down, and then boom, fluorescent lights were gone.
Because they're evil.
I don't like, if I wanted to work around fluorescent lights, I would have, worked in a cubicle somewhere or something like that. Anyway.
Or a major shopping center.
There is that,
Yes.
right? So anyway, we have mood settings in here. We have Sue looking very nicely. We have Fred now wearing very fashionable shoes. I mean, this show evolves. We move forward, and we don't look back, right? I think that's basically what I can say. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about, this peace deal is enormous, and there's a lot of talk about President Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize, which is announced at, I think, 4 a.m. our time tomorrow. I think it's 5 a.m. Eastern time, but in the morning hours. So by the time Sue, you'll be up, and Fred, you'll be walking Luna at the time. I think that in fact, I know that the betting markets right now, not that I look at the betting markets ever. I mean, that would be something. I'm just being shared that information. But it has it at about 6% that he'll win the Peace Prize. Now, let me explain this for a couple of minutes here. Even the Washington Post put something up there today that said, yes, he should probably win the Nobel Peace Prize. There's been a lot of Democrat support for this peace deal. We also don't know what's going to happen on Monday. We're talking about the hostages being released that day. That's a big deal. But what the Nobel Committee says is that they voted on this thing on Monday. Okay, so it's extremely unlikely. So people will freak out tomorrow, right? They'll say, they didn't give it to Trump. I'm not sure they would have given it to him anyway. Let's say the deadline is tonight. I'm not saying that they would have, but I don't think there's a good chance that he's going to get the Nobel Peace Prize. They would maybe say, okay, maybe for next year. I mean, Obama got it, and he didn't do a damn thing. But again,
I think that's what Trump's thinking.
Right, but again, they voted on Monday, so there's not a whole lot you can do about that.
Yeah, Ari Fleischer, earlier on Fox News, he was the former press spokesperson, former Caroline.
Yeah.
For President Trump.
The former Caroline, I love that. Why wasn't he the former KJP, Fred?
Oh, yeah, good point. But he said no way would he get it, even with this. It's just too much old school on the Nobel Peace Prize committee.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I think that it's 6% now because they already voted. It's probably 10% if they hadn't voted. So it's not going to happen. But listen, this is a huge, huge story. And this is what President Trump said in a cabinet meeting. Oh, yeah, he holds cabinet meetings. Joe Biden never used to do that.
Last night we reached a momentous breakthrough in the Middle East, something that people said was never going to be done. We ended the war in Gaza and really, on a much bigger basis, created peace. And I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East. We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday. Getting them is a complicated process. I'd rather not tell you what they have to do to get them. There are places you don't want to be, but we are getting the hostages back on on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday.
So this is kind of amazing. If you haven't heard this audio or seen the video, Trump was on this phone call with a bunch of the families that have, members that are being held hostage. And he was on the phone when all this was happening. Now I can't find the damn soundbite, Fred. You remember what that? Here it is. Hostages.
Right.
So this is what happens. They're all kind of gathered around the phone.
We've heard it again and again from a number of people.
That is not the right one. The host played the wrong one. Here it is.
President Trump, you have the best crowd in the world. What do you guys have to say to President Trump?
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
You did it!
We trust you fulfill the mission until every hostage, every 48 of the hostages are home. Thank you so much. Blessed be the peacemakers.
God bless you, Mr. President. God bless America.
Thank you very much. You just take care of yourselves. The hostages will come back. They're all coming back on Monday.
Yeah, it seems at this point the timeline might be thrown off just a little bit, maybe Monday or Tuesday, but let me kind of go through the particulars here. Let me also say that I've been around the story of Middle East violence and peace and all this for many decades, and usually these things do not hold. However, getting this is multifaceted, the way that this is going to kick in. However, if this happens for a reality on Monday with the hostages and the prisoner exchange, I'll explain that. That in and of itself, I mean, even if they start dropping bombs and fighting again, it's a big deal. Now, this also, what I think the experts will tell you, and we'll have some of those experts on this afternoon, if they do release the hostages, well, then their leverage is really gone. But here's what's happening right now. There are 48 hostages, 20 of whom are believed to be alive. That's it, just 20 who are supposed to be alive. That's what Trump said last night, that they would be released on Monday. We're hearing today maybe it could be Tuesday. The bodies of the hostages who have died will be handed over. And Hamas is saying it will need a couple of weeks, at least 10 days, to locate the bodies of dead hostages, according to the people involved in the talks. This
really?
one, well,
I'll just gloss over that, I guess. But
I don't know if they know where all. Do they have a place that they put the hostages' bodies? I don't know. This one's controversial for the Israelis. Look, there's a lot of joy. Now, one thing I heard somebody say, Fred, you probably heard some of this coverage too. You have to realize that there are people who were, I don't know if there were any radio hosts or media people, but they had to enlist in the, re-enlist in the army. They all have to do their service in Israel, but there are just regular people, young people in particular, who were thrown into service and are not with their families, and they're fighting this war. So one of the things that's a little tougher, I think, for the Israelis to swallow is they have to release 250 Palestinians who are in Israeli prisons and 1,700 Palestinians who have been detained in Gaza during the conflict. So who's on that list in particular? That's being finalized right now. That's a tricky part. Hamas has pushed to get as many big-name prisoners, whoever those might be, released as soon as possible. They cite in some of the coverage Marwan Barghouti, who I guess Israel jailed over his role in an uprising in the early 2000s. So they're going way back to some prisoners that have been held way before that. The deal includes a map of the withdrawal lines, but without the exact locations or coordinates. The final lines will, I guess, still be under discussion. And the Rafah crossing with Egypt will be open. That is going to happen when the ceasefire comes into full effect to facilitate aid deliveries and allow for entry and exit of Palestinians. The Egyptians weren't too interested in allowing hundreds of thousands of Palestinians to cross into their border, but they're going to assist in this particular situation. Jen Griffin, who does a great job at reporting on all of this for Fox, I think she's one of the best out there. She sat down, Fred, with the Israeli foreign minister and asked him some questions, some follow-up. Where's this going to go next?
If Hamas carries out its part of the agreement, is this the end of the war?
Well, it's the implementation of the first phase. We don't have any intention to renew the war. But parts of the commitment is, for example, the disarmament of Hamas, that they will lay down their arms and so on.
And that will be phase two.
We will first have a ceasefire. Immediately after the decision will be approved by the government, there will be a ceasefire. And then the commitment within 72 hours of Hamas to release all the hostages. I believe that that should bring the end to this war.
Well, that's what we're hoping, right? But phase two, everybody who is analyzing this and kind of keeping an eye on handicapping it will admit that that's a lot of, hope in that second phase because you got to stop the fighting. Now, on the hostages and how that works out.
Do you expect all of the hostages, the 20 living and the 28 deceased, to be released on Monday? Do you expect all of them to be released, and what happens if they are not?
This is the commitment, the clear commitment of Hamas in this deal. I'm not answering an if questions because it never helps. We expect that everyone will fulfill its commitments.
And you expect them all to come out at the same time? Hamas says that they don't know where some of the deceased hostages are and they need more time.
We expect the deal to be respected and for them to deliver what they agreed to deliver.
Okay, so that's the hope. But what I guess one of the questions that President Trump was asked during the cabinet meeting is what if Hamas does not abide, which, you know, again, I wouldn't be shocked if that happens.
What guarantees Hamas disarms and that Israel doesn't resume bombing once the hostages are released?
The first thing we're doing is getting our hostages back, okay? And that's what people wanted more than anything else. They wanted these hostages back that have lived in hell like nobody has ever even dreamt possible. And after that, we'll see. But they've agreed to things, and I think it's going to move along pretty well.
But what is phase two? When does it begin?
I'm not going to talk about that because you sort of know what phase two is, but there will be disarming, there will be pullbacks, there will be a lot of things that are happening. You know, I gave you a whole list of 22 different things that will take place. And I think it'll take place, and I think you're going to end up with peace in the Middle East. But we have to get our hostages back. And we weren't going to do it at the end. We're going to do it at the beginning.
So that's where he is on all that. Look, I will tell you in the last couple of days that I have felt even somewhat guilty because when we wrapped up the show on Tuesday, and I thought to myself, we really didn't spend a ton of time on the anniversary of October 7th. Look, it happened in another country. It's a worldwide story. There's no doubt about that. But I've felt impacted in the last couple of days from this perspective. And we're all desensitized because we see these things. We just saw a guy a month ago yesterday, you know, have his neck blown off in front of people. But you forget, and you shouldn't forget, the same way we shouldn't forget 9/11, the horrors that Hamas committed. You know, these punk kids on college campuses and, you know, the free Hamas and everything, what they did to these Israelis, I mean, not only did they kill 1,200 of them, but the way that they sliced them up, they beheaded, they forced children to watch their parents be slaughtered in front, not just killed, but slaughtered. They watched parents watch their children be slaughtered. That's the type of things that these people did. And it's on video in many cases. I'm still a little disappointed. You know, a lot of people who went to Israel, some of the people we have on the show on a regular basis were, even Josh Hammer, they were allowed to see this video that was put out. I think it was, you know, produced by the Israeli government of the horrors of that day, because I don't think the world has really seen those horrors. I you know, hope that there are Democrats out there that are waving their Palestinian flags, if they would think just for a moment of the brutality that occurred on that day to the Israelis. Now, that doesn't mean you starve women and children and civilians, but the civilian population in Gaza, and President Trump knows this, they're the ones that have been most affected by this. And it's not because of Israel, and it's not because of America. It's because of their own leadership. So the thing that's most confusing to me, or at least the thing that I have the biggest question on moving forward, because I'm not a Middle East peace expert, is who's going to run this whole thing? I know that that's mapped out in some of the playbook that they unveiled a couple of weeks ago, but would you have a fair amount of confidence that you can get? I mean, Hamas was the government of the Palestinians and of Gaza. So what exactly and how will that manifest itself? And then with the remaining Hamas leaders, are they going to ship them out somewhere, drop them somewhere where they're safe and they're not taken out? So still a lot of questions that remain moving forward. Charles Lipson's going to join us this afternoon from the University of Chicago. Brad Young will be here as well. We have a Thursday edition of Sue's News. The Attorney General of Missouri, the new one, Catherine Hanaway, is going to join us this afternoon, and Senator Eric Schmitt as well in the 5 o'clock hour. Chris Gervino, my old J-School buddy, who calls the games on Missouri basketball and football, is going to give us a preview of the Mizzou-Alabama game at 5:30, plus an audio cut of the day we're off and running here on a Thursday edition of the Mark Reardon Show.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There was a stall westbound 70 past Cave Springs. Watch for that one on the shoulder. But as far as traffic goes, we're really in pretty good shape. Westbound 70 out of downtown looks good. It is slow at Wentzville. 64, it's Kings Highway out through McCausland. Again, just moderate volume. And again, as you approach Prospect out through 70. Now, southbound 270, mainly moderate volume, but it's Page down through Doherty Ferry. 44 is jammed right at 270. And southbound 170, gosh, and northbound for that matter, are kind of slow just a little bit north of Ladue. And other than that, we're fine. If you're headed into Illinois, no delays there. But there is some volume through the roadwork. Westbound 64 on the Illinois side, really close to Greenmount Road. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. This report brought to you by Aspen Contracting. Is your siding dragging down your home's curb appeal? Aspen Contracting can transform your house with new siding, fast, efficient, and built to last. Don't settle for an eyesore. Call Aspen today for your free siding inspection, 636-465-1696. That's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son, Mike. In addition to the comp case, there is a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio every Saturday at 2, right here on 97.1 FM Talk, and you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid weekly. This Medicaid program is available to eligible St. Louis residents. New to Medicaid? The Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is available through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid weekly. So go to freedomcare.com now, or for faster service, call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sue, I think Fred would tell you we were very close to only having 3 members on the Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. You're not going to be here, so I couldn't even put you into service. You're taking Friday off, but we did fill Jane's seat because Jane is gone. By the way, I don't even know where Jane is.
She's in Greece and Turkey.
Okay. Now, look, I had to send her a message yesterday that was very important. We don't have time. We have a very important guest, Charles Lipson, coming up. But will you remind me, because I had an emergency. I'm going to put emergency here.
Does that involve cookies?
Look, it's an emergency. I'm not going to tell you what it involves, but it's an emergency, and I'm in crisis right now, and I need help. And Jane might be the only person for me. But right now, I want to visit with my friend Charles Lipson, professor emeritus at the University of Chicago. We'll talk a little politics here and about this peace deal. Charles, how are you? Welcome back to the show. Hope you're having a good week.
I am. It's a beautiful fall day here in Chicago. What's it like in St. Louis?
Beautiful. One of those 10% days, as I like to call them. I mean, it is gorgeous.
I love it.
I hope it's...
I just saw something about this Middle East peace deal that I think will amuse you, Mark.
Yes?
It is Barack Obama saying it's after 2 years of unimaginable suffering and loss, for the people of Gaza. No mention of Israel.
Right. Did he really say that?
We should all be encouraged and relieved that the end of the conflict is in sight. And he prattles on. There is not a single mention of Donald Trump.
Well, of course not. Yeah, they're going to have a hard
in other
time
words,
here.
The peace deal just happened. It just happened. It's kind of magic.
I think you're going to see a lot of that. Although I saw something in the Washington Post where they even sort of tacitly admitted that Trump might deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, which he will not get because they voted on the prize on Monday. But something, you broke this down in your newsletter this morning, and I just addressed this in the monologue, so I have to ask you about this because you want to be optimistic. But then one of my questions heading into the break, Charles, was, okay, well, who's going to run the government, right? And one of your points is Gazans are sick of Hamas, but there is no successor, and they still hate Jews. That seems to be still a significant hurdle moving forward.
That's right. First of all, we don't know until the next key move is releasing all the hostages, living and dead. And if that happens, then we've made a major step toward a real peace settlement. If it doesn't happen, it was all a fraud pulled off by Hamas. Trump himself was very generous toward the Gulf Arab states for putting in their 2 cents on all of this, and most importantly, putting tremendous pressure on Hamas. Israel put itself in this position, I think, when they made a tremendous tactical error in attacking the Hamas leaders who are in Qatar, because that sort of opened a moment. And one thing Trump is particularly good at is seizing the moment. If the hostages are released, he will seize the moment again by going to the Middle East. He won't wait for them to come to the White House. He won't, the hostages and so forth. He'll go there for one of the most emotional moments in modern history. He will be there to address the Knesset, Israel's parliament, and to greet all these hostages and to offer consolation to the families whose loved ones who were killed by Hamas in captivity are returned. If all of that happens, which I certainly hope it does.
Is there one of the things that you wrote about, and this is where we don't have perspective really, because, I even mentioned this in the break. You have a lot of people that were called back into service. They have, obligatory military service in Israel. A lot of folks were just doing their regular jobs, and then a war breaks out, right? They're called into action. So that's significant for families, for loved ones. So one of the things that was happening inside of Israel, if I understand you correctly, is that the support for Netanyahu's strategy wasn't as strong. They're worn out by this. Too many people are dying. You had pointed out that IDF leaders are worried about rising casualties because they're, fighting door to door and they're still being killed by Hamas. So there is a strong desire within Israel to move forward, obviously, under conditions like this that have been spelled out in this agreement.
That's exactly right. Let me give an American story that most of us wouldn't have known. I didn't know it until fairly recently. By 1944, support in the United States for fighting World War II had dropped significantly. I mean, it was still a majority supporting, but these wars, and we were winning in both the Atlantic and Pacific, but we hadn't won in either theater, and yet support was dropping. So long wars in democracies lose support. They may lose it in autocracies and dictatorships as well, but we don't have reliable measures. So yes, it was dropping. Netanyahu is a controversial figure, as your audience knows. But I think they may not know just how consequential he is. He's not just let me come to the security in just a second. About 30 years ago, Netanyahu changed the economy of Israel. He was the finance minister, the equivalent of both the Secretary of the Treasury here and the Secretary of Commerce and all the rest. And Israel, until that time, had been kind of a socialist government, and with a lot of state ownership of banks and enterprises. He changed it all over to capitalism, and since then, Israel has grown like a rocket. And it now has a income per capita that's higher than almost all the European states, higher than in England, higher than Italy, higher than France. And growing at a steady rate, and has grown at a steady rate even during the war.
That's kind of amazing. Now, yeah, that's really interesting.
It is amazing. And that's really crucial because you not only have a strong economy, but a high-tech economy that the Gulf states would like to have strong connections to. Now, what did Israel do during the current war? What it did was the main enemy was Iran, but the immediate enemy was not only Hamas in Gaza with its unprovoked attack and 1,200 plus killed and 200 plus taken captive and so forth, but the next day Hezbollah, which controlled southern Lebanon and was the most powerful actor in Lebanon as a whole, attacked from the north with strong support from Iran, which funded it and gave it all the weapons. So you had Israel fighting that war. And what did Netanyahu leading the government do? They took out all this so-called ring of fire and then attacked Iran itself, which was using the ring of fire as a kind of protective glacis under which they could develop their deliverable nuclear weapons. Now, they wouldn't have attacked Israel right out of the blue. They knew they would be exterminated if they did. But if the Iranian Islamic regime were falling, they might very well attack and kill literally tens of Israel has 9 million people. They would kill as many of them as they could with nuclear weapons.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, before I let you go, just quickly, because we were focusing on the Pew deal, but on the government shutdown, I have Senator Schmitt coming on here in a couple hours, actually an hour and a half after 5 o'clock. I thought maybe this would be wrapped up by midpoint here. It looks like it's going to drag on a little bit, but it doesn't look like the Democrats are gaining any more leverage here. You see this differently?
I agree. By the way, I think Senator Schmitt is a real prize. I think he's one of the strongest, most informed, and most intelligent senators on Capitol Hill.
You know why that is, Charles? You know why that is? He cut his teeth here on the Mark Reardon show. That's right. His humble beginnings were here.
Well,
he was the official state senator of the Mark Reardon show.
With this guy.
Yeah. No. He is
very
sharp.
impressed with this guy. His education on your show, the things you did to beef up his resume are just amazing.
He really is doing a great job, though. I love it.
He is. I don't see. I think that the next big question is whether. See, Trump sees the fact that Democrats have dug a hole for themselves. He's let them wallow in the hole. The question is whether he'll pull the trigger on downsizing the government and firing people. I think the reason he's been reluctant to do it is that he thinks it will change the narrative. He won't do it until after Monday and after the hostages thing in Israel. But will he do it? It's a big chance to make a very fundamental change, even though it might cost him some of the support that he now has for the clean CR. So that's the question I would like the Missouri senator to answer.
A lot of fascinating things happening right now. Never a dull moment. Charles Lipson, thank you so much. You enjoy that Chicago weather. We'll see you soon.
You too, my friend.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a report of debris northbound 270, really near westbound 6440. Watch for that, kind of on the right shoulder. We had more debris reported westbound 44 past Vandevenner. That one in the left lane. Accident reported northbound 170. This is just south of Del Mar, and traffic is slowing there in both directions. Other than that, it's the usual volume. Westbound 70 slowing at Jennings Station Road and at Wentzville. 6440 lines up approaching Hampton out through McCausland. A little bit of 270, and then in pockets out through 70. And southbound 270, most of that volume is from Page down through Gravois. 55 is really slow, headed for Bates. We look fine if you're headed into Illinois. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Enter now at overheaddoorstlouis.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
More and more now I'm hearing when all my customers that are calling and setting up appointments for looking at different types of furnace and air conditioners, they're calling in because of all the years that I've said there is a common sense approach, and they want to see what that is. Well over 95% of the people are very happy that they did call me. I'm not saying that they purchased anything from me, but they're extremely happy that they did call me. It's not being cheaper, it's being explained in such a way to where they can make an honest decision for themselves and their family and what's best for their pocketbook. When you start getting prices for new furnace and air conditioners, call me. It's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. Again, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Again, that's 314-293-2600, or on the internet, it is bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And at 3:37, this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. From Arnold to Edwardsville, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Got a little Thursday edition of Sue's News coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Catherine Hanaway, the Missouri Attorney General, at 4:30. Brad Young is with us, one of our legal experts, partner with Harris Young and Kaiser. How are you, Brad? Good afternoon. Great to have you on.
I'm doing great, sir. Great to talk to you.
So one of the stories that is developing this afternoon, this is going to be something I'm going to ask the Attorney General about, is, there's been all this controversy about Alfred Montgomery, the sheriff, the newer sheriff who was elected, who has, bought nice cars for himself and done some other things that are somewhat questionable in his office, as we're all aware that he is currently under house arrest. Have you heard about that? Now, Catherine's going to address this because obviously she's been involved in trying to get rid of him at this point. But that's a little unusual to have the sheriff arrested. He posted something on his Facebook page about this, and I guess he's got an ankle bracelet on right now.
Yeah, he does. That's not just a rumor. It's true. In fact, the federal magistrate ordered him to wear an ankle monitor as part of the conditions set for his home or house confinement until this case proceeds to trial. So yeah, he's at home, kind of like Ant-Man, like Paul Rudd in Ant-Man with the great big ankle monitors, and he can't leave the house. And yeah, that's Alfred Montgomery.
I did like that first Ant-Man. I thought it was pretty good for sure. It's such a weird story though with this dude. And there were even people like I had him in the studio when he was running, and I did a favor for Jamila Nasheed, former senator, who had, I think, played some role in bringing up Alfred Montgomery. But I think even Jamila is embarrassed by his behavior at this point. Let's talk some national politics, and let's not go too far. Let's go to the state of Illinois, where Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, and J.B. Pritzker, the fat-ass governor of Illinois. Did I say mayor of Wisconsin? Mayor of Chicago. Did I just say Wisconsin?
I don't know.
Good Lord. Anyway, they keep saying stupid things about, illegals and trying to keep ICE away.
We've made sure that people know their rights and they know how to find out what their rights are, because we don't want them picked up off the streets just because they're brown or black, just because they happen to be undocumented and have committed no crimes. Remember, he said he was going after the worst of the worst. It's not going after the worst of the worst when you're just literally stopping children who happen to be brown and asking them for papers as if, they're going to have proof that they're a U.S. citizen.
Okay, first of all, that's not happening. And there are children who might be swept up in some of these things when they're going against gang members. But there have been some court decisions, involving some of these decisions to send the National Guard and troops into cities, haven't there been, Brad?
Yeah, and let me lay it out because it's very confusing, and I'm going to make it very clear to folks exactly what's happening, what's legal, and what's not legal. Because up to this point, President Trump has invoked what's called Title 10. Under Title 10 of the United States Code, the president can federalize National Guard troops and send them in. It doesn't require anything other than him stating that there's some sort of inability to enforce federal law. So he sends them in. However, under Title 10, the troops cannot arrest people. They cannot go in and detain individuals. All they can do under Title 10, literally, as long as the governor doesn't allow it, all those troops can do is to protect federal property. That's it. So when it comes to ICE, though, ICE is different. They do have authority. They do have jurisdiction. And those ICE raids have been upheld consistently because they're enforcing immigration law. And listen, the progressive left today, they just want an open border. And so anytime there's going to be federal enforcement of any sort of immigration laws, they're going to squawk and scream and complain. But the bottom line is what is happening right now, whether it's with the National Guard troops or with ICE, is legal.
So these still have to be, they're suing at every turn, right, to stop this stuff. And some of this still needs to go up to higher courts, et cetera. Does one of these cases end up at the Supreme Court?
Perhaps, but let's look at what's gone on in Illinois, because that's a very good indicator of what's going to happen here. Initially, when Gavin Newsom, another guy running for president, filed suit against President Trump, sending in troops to L.A., the court allowed, under Title 10, the president to send in troops for that limited purpose, guarding federal property and doing administrative activities, not law enforcement activities, because that's banned under what's called the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. Now, having said that, the troops that were in Los Angeles went beyond that, all right? So they actually were involved with arresting and detaining individuals. So even though the court initially said it was okay, a subsequent court, after seeing what the troops actually did when they were on the ground, said those troops did not have the authority to arrest, detain, and act like police officers. So that was then rescinded in terms of what they were doing. So if you apply that to Chicago, the same applies. Okay, it's the same situation. You got a blue state governor says no to the troops. So as long as they remain within the confines of what they can do legally, it's perfectly fine. If they start arresting individuals or acting like cops, then that will go beyond what Title 10 allows.
That's different. All right. I had Ilya Shapiro on yesterday. I want you to explain the Supreme Court case that went before the justices this week on the Colorado conversion therapy ban. A little confused on this particular case. So what can you tell us about that? And it seems like with the arguments that happened a couple of days ago on Tuesday, that the court might be poised to rule for this Christian therapist who said that basically her free speech rights were violated by this law in Colorado that bars mental health professionals from seeking to change a minor's sexual orientation or gender identity.
Correct. This is a law that Colorado passed. And by the way, what the heck is going on in Colorado? You've got these cake bake cases. You got the website cases. Now you got the Christian counselor cases. I don't know why Colorado is so upset over Christians, but they clearly are. Anyway, let's talk about the merits of this case. Colorado passed a law in 2019 stating that it prohibits licensed professionals from discussing anything about gender identity, with changing your gender identity back to align with your birth gender identity. It doesn't go the other way.
Yeah,
they can
of course
encourage
not.
them. They can encourage kids to change their gender apart from their birth identity, but they're not allowed to talk about changing it back to align with their birth identity. So that tells you all you need to know. So one of these counselors filed a lawsuit, said, I can't practice as a counselor. It's now up at the Supreme Court. And yeah, it violates multiple things. It violates, number one, it violates freedom of speech, just like the cake bake case, just like the website designer case. It's identical. The state is making a discrimination based upon the content of the speech that's prohibited under the First Amendment. It also violates the free exercise clause of the First Amendment because you're telling counselors you cannot teach what is generally accepted as mainstream Protestant Christian doctrine when it comes to someone being aligned with their birth gender. And so it violates it. The justices were skeptical, and this will get overturned.
It's such a weird law to begin with because what it does, this statute prohibits, quote, any practice or treatment, unquote, that tries to change a minor's, quote, gender expressions or to eliminate or reduce sexual or romantic attraction or feelings toward individuals of the same sex, unquote. Why that would even be in any statute in this country is beyond me. But what Sam Alito and others said, basically, it looks like the bans like this look like blatant viewpoint discrimination. We've seen a lot of that here in the last 4 years, and that's exactly what it is.
Yes, it's exactly right. And that's why I don't see this as even being a big deal. It might be a 6-3. I could really see a 7-2 here because Kagan is kind of, if you look at some of Kagan's decisions on these types of issues, she tends to favor free speech. So I say it's either going to be 6-3 or 7-2, but it'll be an overwhelming majority.
All right, Brad, anything else on your radar right now?
Well, there's all kinds of things. The one thing I do want to bring up is this, because New York City has filed a lawsuit against multiple social media companies, basically alleging that that the algorithms in social media are addicting to children, and therefore it violates their public nuisance laws. They're asking for damages. Over 200 school districts now are suing Google, suing Meta, obviously Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, and others because they're addicting our children. And I will be fascinated.
I will too.
In watching this litigation play out.
By the way, here's a breaking story for you. Grand jury has just indicted Tish, New York Attorney General Letitia James, on fraud charges. According to a source that told the Associated Press, she was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia on one count after a mortgage fraud investigation, said the person who spoke on the condition of anonymity. So we've talked about this case before, and there comes the indictment.
Ouch. Yeah. And some of these people who before were engaging in what's called lawfare, using the legal system against their political enemies, they were hip deep in this, and now they're squawking about it. But why weren't they squawking about it or stopping doing it when they were doing this years ago?
Yeah, in this particular case, this was like mortgage fraud, right? She claims that she made an error filling out a form related to the home purchase, but says that it was rectified, didn't deceive the lender. I'm not so sure about that. They may have a case here, so we'll see what happens. Brad, always great to have you on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure,
All
Mark.
right, are you going to the game on Saturday or not?
I almost had a chance to get tickets and it fell through. So now I'll be watching it like everybody else.
I'm nervous. That Bama quarterback is really, really good. I have Chris Gervino, my friend, who does the sideline reporting for Mizzou on at 5:30 with a bit of a preview of the game. But it's going to be a good one. There's no doubt about that. Thank you, Brad.
My pleasure.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, watch out for an accident. We've got one reported really in both directions, so I can't tell which direction it is. The camera's turned the wrong way. But if you are north or southbound on 170 near Del Mar, there is a delay. Now, westbound 70, moderate volume, Jennings Station Road, a little bit at Lindbergh, and then a pocket or two out through 70. And 6440 is the same way. Some pockets starting around Kings Highway, and then that goes all the way out through 70. But again, not a solid jam. Southbound 270 is lined up, and that's from Page in pockets down through, now it's Gravois. And we had an accident reported northbound, really near the Clayton Road overpass, some slow-moving traffic there, and some pretty heavy traffic on southbound 55, south of Arsenal through Bates before opening up. On the Illinois side, that ongoing road work, and it's supposed to go through tomorrow, is 5570, just a little bit east of 111, and that's created slow-moving traffic in both directions. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade. Congratulations to 97.1 FM Talk on 25 years. For me, you've always been so important and a part of my day. Knowing that St. Louis is listening has made this show worth doing. Cheers to the next chapter.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. That's right, weight loss seminar at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
If you have some flooring needs, this might be a good weekend to head out to one of the 3 great locations of Michael's Flooring Outlet. They're in Old Town St. Peters. They have a location in Jardin Prairie and then in Creve Coeur on Olive. They also have a great website, and I always recommend maybe starting there, doing a little homework on some flooring projects. They have all the products up there. They have a way for you to upload a picture of your decor, see if it matches up with the flooring. I do think it's even better to take some samples home, and you can even order those using the code 3FREE from the website. They'll send them right to your door. It is recommended, though, you go into the store. You got experts in there that have been working in this industry for a long time. Mike and his team. Mike started when he was 26 years old. Very dedicated, just like anything else. I say this all the time. Technology has changed in flooring. So where it used to be a little tougher maybe to get stains and odors out from pets, etc., a lot easier now with the carpet technology, especially with a great product like from Mohawk. And the hard flooring products, you have so many choices. We put some of those into my home last year, and Mike and the team helped us out with that. IGotFloored.com. Those locations I mentioned are open 6 days a week. They're just closed on Sundays.
Honey, is our car still under warranty?
No, not anymore.
My sister just got an extended service plan from Ox Car Care.
Ox Car Care?
Yeah, Ox will cover our repair bills if anything happens to our car, new brakes, a transmission, AC, or engine problems. Plus, Ox Car Care offers free oil changes, tire rotation, and roadside assistance.
Wait a minute, we pay nothing on the repairs? Ox gets it fixed for us? Free oil changes, free tire rotation, and free roadside assistance? What's the number?
800-234-0633. Ox has a 30-day money-back guarantee and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. They handle their claims from start to finish, unlike other warranty companies. We should call now, 800-234-0633.
The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill. I'm calling Ox Car Care now.
Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-234-0633. Ask about senior and military discounts. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox Car Care, 800-234-0633, or go to oxcarcare.com.
What's your favorite 4-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our 4-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow, and hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sue, it's hard to believe we had Chris Kerber on last night talking about the Blues and previewing the season. The Minnesota Wild in town tonight, game 1 of the 2025-2026 season for a really talented young core of the St. Louis Blues and what could be a fun season. At least we hope that way. You just never know. Ask the Baltimore Ravens. You don't know how the games are going to go. I had a question for you just because I go through this area. Usually I'd go right past Enterprise on my way home on 14th Street, but tonight because of the Blues game, they'll have that closed off at Market. But I think about this because I get on to 44 right off of where Lafayette and Truman are, right?
Yeah.
And I used to live off of 55.
Sure.
Even when I lived in Jeffco, Fenton, I would take 55 all the way down to 141. But that damn on-ramp, and I guess the exit ramp right there at Lafayette and Truman, that thing's been closed down for like 3 years.
Yes.
And this is my question for you. Do you ever think it's going to reopen? Now, we know that stretch you always talk about. Like if people were playing the drinking game and they heard you say 55 is slowing down at Bates, they'd be wasted by the end of the show.
Yes.
But, I mean, do they ever plan on opening that damn thing up?
I have to consider that it's part of the endless 55 construction.
Right.
So until that's done, I don't think they want too much traffic coming down into 55 where the left lanes are blocked.
But it's just crazy to think that some of these projects that would probably be the way that you and Fred would get on if you were going home,
for
right?
Sure.
So now what do? You take Gravois down over the highway?
Here's
and then...
the hot tip. If you go left on Shoto and then go right, you can get on 7th Street.
Oh, that's not a bad tip. That's pretty easy,
but
right?
It's difficult to merge over the 44 lanes to get to 55. Otherwise, yes, you got to go to Gravois.
No, the 7th, that's a good trick, and I understand that one. But I just started, and I know that you and Fred, you have to deal with looking at that stuff on 55. It's just mind-boggling to me how long some of these things are taking.
But that's why I think that ramp is closed, because they can't put too much traffic down in there.
I just look at it and say, is that ever going to
No.
reopen? Hey, we have a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. Should be a good one. Jeff Rainford on the panel. Donna Behringer making a return.
Oh, yay.
She's been so busy as the St. Louis Comptroller, and Mike Elam from St. Charles. It starts at 3 tomorrow. Jane's off another week.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident on the Interbelt just south of Del Mar. And traffic is slow there in both directions. Accident reported. And this one is on 44. I can't tell whether it's east or westbound, but we have slow-moving traffic by the entrance ramp to the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, or at least in that area of 44. Now, westbound 64 is lining up, approaching Hampton out through McCausland, then in pockets out through 70, but it's moderate volume. Same thing on 70, just moderate volume in pockets on out. Southbound 270, though, that's a slow go. And this is Page. It goes down through Gravois before it looks better. Northbound, there was an earlier accident at the Clayton Road overpass, and that has created a slow go through there. And southbound 55 and the endless construction is slowing south of Arsenal down through Bates. And then it looks better. If you're headed into Illinois, we're fine. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, get up on Underdog Fantasy tonight. There's a great Thursday night football game. It's the Eagles and the Giants. Now, I have fantasy football implications here. I have Jalen Hurts on one team, and I have Saquon on another. But this is a good example of how you can use Underdog Fantasy. I'm going to guide you into some credits, some bonus credits or bonus entries here when you play your first $5. But if you've never been on Underdog or, tried to play the Champions game, how do you do it? Well, you'll look when you download it, you'll see that game come up right away between the Giants and the Eagles, and then maybe you pick whether Saquon Barkley will have more than 87.5 rushing yards. I'm going to say yes, because he hasn't been the Saquon of last year, and I think he's going to have a big game tonight, even though the Giants are halfway decent. On the Giants front, you can select Jackson Dart, their quarterback. Will he have, how many touchdowns will he have? How many passing yards? You can choose between those. On baseball, it's strikeouts and home runs and hits, etc. Now, when you download the app, you sign up with the promo code MARKR. That gets you $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. Underdog. Make plays, win money in Missouri. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing. Get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Join us October 23rd at Lit Cigar Lounge and celebrate 25 years with drinks from Lore Wine and Spirits, Old Dominic Distillery, and Rayburn Wines, plus live music by Pretty Weeds and food from Napoli Bros. Reservations at 971talk.com. Presented by Rhino Shield and U.S. Men's Medical Center.
VIP tickets for that are gone. We'd love to still have you there. You got RSVP. Fox News coming up.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. But President Trump is thanking the many mediators and countries involved in securing a possible Mideast peace.
People are so happy about it. I've never experienced anything quite like it. I've never seen such universal praise for being able to do something. No, it's something that nobody thought was possible, and we're going to end up having peace in the Middle East.
He plans to travel to the region this weekend after Israel and Hamas agreed to phase 1 of the plan, though it's not a done deal just yet.
Phase 1 is, if you will, the simple part. That is the release of hostages, the withdrawal of the Israeli military. They will still stay in about half of the Gaza Strip, and the release of about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners.
20 living hostages are expected to be released Monday or Tuesday, but Hamas has already suggested it may take longer to find the remains of others. Fox's Jennifer Griffin spoke with Israel's foreign minister.
Is this the end to the war in Gaza?
Well, this is the implementation of the first phase. We don't have any intention to renew the war.
Israel's cabinet is set to vote on implementing phase 1 of the peace plan, which would trigger a ceasefire. For now, there is no full ceasefire yet, and the Israeli military confirms a strike in northern Gaza today, targeting a Hamas terrorist cell the IDF says was operating near troops and posing an immediate threat. Palestinian reports of 4 people killed and many buried in rubble. Just getting word another one of President Trump's longtime political foes has been indicted. New York Attorney General Letitia James facing a mortgage fraud charge, a source tells Fox News, in the same Virginia district where the federal prosecutor was recently replaced and where former FBI Director James Comey was indicted 2 weeks ago. America is listening to Fox News.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at lifelock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
All is quiet with our weather for evening plans. Temperatures in the 60s, 49 for the overnight low, mainly clear skies. Friday, a mix of clouds and sunshine, 78 for the high in the afternoon. Friday night, some clouds, 58. Weekend, above average temperatures, but it's quiet. Saturday, sunny and 81. Sunday, sunny and 84. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
You know, I called my son to check in, the one who is in Chicago, who is the teacher, Aiden, and I hadn't talked to him in a couple of weeks, just kind of touching base on things that were going on. He teaches on the south side of Chicago. It's a tough environment, you know.
Wow.
Mainly, I don't know if he has any white kids in his classroom. He's one of only a handful of, you know, white teachers in the building. Anyway, that really doesn't have anything to do with the conversation. It's just that I was asking him if he had any time off, and he said, well, I do get Indigenous Peoples Day off on Monday. And I kind of chuckled and I didn't engage because I kind of wanted to engage. But instead of me engaging, President Trump engaged today. Because here's what he did.
Today we have your Columbus Day proclamation for Monday, which we're signing a bit early. But this is a particularly important holiday for Italian Americans who celebrate the legacy of Christopher Columbus and the innovation and explorer zeal that he represented.
In other words, we're calling it Columbus Day.
Yes.
I think that's real sharp there.
Press that broke out in applause. I can't believe that. I've never seen that happen before. The press actually broke out in applause. Good. Columbus Day. We're back. Columbus Day, we're back, Italians. We love the Italians.
We love the Italians, so it's no longer Indigenous Peoples Day, which was ridiculous to begin with. We don't get that day off, though, do we?
I kind of forgot it was coming up.
Yeah, we get Veterans Day off here in a few weeks, which is on a Tuesday. Fred, Sue's off tomorrow. Were you aware of that?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Sue's off tomorrow. But Ethan's got the it covered.
Good deal.
He's going to do Sue's news, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jane is off tomorrow as well. She's got a couple of weeks off. She'll be back, I think, on next Friday. But I had to send her an emergency message last night. And I don't even know where she is on the planet. But in all caps, I typed out in a text message, emergency, with 4 exclamation points. So you know it's serious, right? And in all caps, it's like George Gray when he does The Price is Wrong. You got to yell that. Emergency. I don't care if you're out of the country or wherever you might be. But for F's sake, I just tried to order more Apple Jacks Pop-Tarts, and they do not, capital letters, appear to be available on Amazon. I'm in crisis. I need help. This morning at 12:48, which tells me she's probably in a different country, says, I will help, LOL. But I go on there last night.
Did you go to Walmart?
Yeah, I've looked everywhere. Look. We could not find those in stores anywhere. Jane ordered them from Amazon, had them shipped, and she surprised me because she had asked for my address. I didn't really think about the, the reason. But then I get a couple of boxes of the Apple Jacks Pop-Tarts in the mail. All right?
Okay.
Went through those, polished through those in the last month. Need more. They don't appear to be available.
I just went to Walmart.com, and the shipping will arrive for you on the 16th, which isn't great, but they appear to be on there.
So they're on Walmart.com.
Yes.
Okay, let's slow down here. Let's
Yeah,
slow down just a second because the crisis might be averted. Why would they have them? Why would they have them online on Walmart, but not? Okay. Now, if I press this link, let's see, because you could have faked me out.
Somebody has rated these only 3 out of 5, which I know
totally disagree with that.
Is not. You're not.
But see, I don't see. I see it says what you're saying here, but I don't actually see the place where you can
order it.
I'll
add it to my cart.
Okay, this is Walmart retail. I
there
love to
it
shop
is.
live.
It's in the cart.
I think this is a scam, Sue. I think he's getting all of us to order.
Well, yeah.
Shipping arrives October 15th for free. All right. So look, I went to Amazon.
Averted.
I will go to Walmart.com. Apparently, they're on there. Oh, my gosh. It makes me feel so much better. It really does.
Good.
Because those are the best.
And later you can hunt down the person who gave it a 2 and say what's up.
They're my favorites. They really are. A listener just sent me this, and I always like stories like this, so let me share this. And thanks to Bruce, who shot this to me. He thought that I was no longer a subscriber to STL Today. I am. I still pay for that rag, but I don't get it delivered at home. And most of you don't either because they stopped delivering it on Monday now. So I don't know why anyone would have anything but a digital subscription. But Bruce wrote, since you no longer get the PD, you missed the article on, quote, banned, unquote, Books Week. I wanted to see how difficult it was to get these, quote, banned books. I love this. So he says, I requested each one from Amazon. They all came up immediately and available in any format you want. Prices ranging from $9.95 to $14.95. Clearly, the left's definition of banned is different than mine. And this is something that is in, I guess, online right now. He sent me the article from someone by the name of Jennifer Buehler, who is an associate professor in the School of Education at St. Louis University. And she writes up this big piece that says, if you visit a library or a bookstore over the next few days, you're likely to see a display for Banned Books Week. You may be reminded of book bans that have occurred in our community, and you may have questions. What is a book ban? Why are so many books being banned right now? Why is there a week dedicated to this issue every fall? Yeah, I'd like to know that. It says Banned Book Week, October 5th through the 11th. We are in the thick right now of Banned Book Week, so you have to know that. It was launched, you see, by the American Library Association in 1982 in response to a surge of book bans following the 1980 presidential election. It was just because Reagan was elected. But here, you know what their definition of banned books is?
No.
Let me start with this. Okay. My daughter is in 5th grade, right? She's 10 and a half years old. Should the library at Stanton Elementary in the Rockwood School District, a fine elementary school, one of the best in the country, we love it, big fans of the school, but would it be responsible for a library at an elementary school or even maybe a middle school or high school to have every age-appropriate book in there if you only have like 11-year-olds in your school? So if you have something that's a little bit more along the lines of adult content, whether it has to do with someone deciding they're mentally ill and trans or not, there is content that's not appropriate for kids, right?
I know. Yeah.
We don't just let them have unfettered access to the internet on their school computers. We restrict that, right?
Yes.
Public libraries make decisions. By the way, you want to talk about book bans? Let's see how many of these local bookstores have Scott Jennings' book when it comes out, or Selena Zito's book right now. I like to talk about book bans. But here's how they define it. This is how they get around it. This is what Jennifer Buehler says in the Post-Dispatch. Any choice made by someone with more authority which prevents a book from getting in the hands of a reader is a book ban. Well, that's just ridiculous. So that's why I told you about the school situation
Would your
to begin with.
apply?
Well, I guess so.
Yeah.
So if I'm not allowing Alexa to read something or not allowing her to listen to Taylor Swift's explicit songs on her new album, that's a ban, right? It's a little different though, Fred, because as a parent, I don't think they're putting parenting decisions into book bans. But look, that's why the school example is the best analogy, because you don't have access. I mean, can I go across the street here and get anything that I would want from the public library downtown? Maybe I'd have a little bit more luck than I would certainly at a school library, and you should, because the school library is different.
It is.
And you shouldn't have access to all that. But, of course, they want to promote Banned Book Week with, this is how they write these stories. Whenever this comes out, usually it's like Francis Howell or something like that, right? And there is something that comes before a school district. And this, my favorite part of this, we play the audio all the time, right? You have parents that literally go up to the podium on these school district meetings and they start reading from the books. And the school board members and the administration shuts them down because it's literally too profanity-laced or inappropriate or sexually oriented for them to even listen to in a public hearing, so they shut them down. But they think that book is appropriate for a third grader, right? It's insanity. But here again, this is maybe where I have some hope for, a change in the media. To call that a book ban and to offer, if Jennifer Buehler, who is teaching people at SLU how to become teachers, if their definition is that every teacher in elementary school or middle school in America is a book banner because they're not allowing their kids to have any book that they want. It's utterly ridiculous. It really is. The one story I have not had time to address today, and I will, and it's a doozy. I may save it for audio cut of the day. This is picking up a little momentum today, and I want to play the audio. Ethan is pulling it so I can execute this in the way that I want to. But there's a dude that went on a Delta Airlines flight, older guy. I think he might have been around upper 60, 70. He has a MAGA hat on. A couple of people on the plane wanted to take a picture with the MAGA hat on, and they did. But then the flight attendant comes up to this guy and asks him to remove the hat. And because he didn't put the hat away right away, Delta escorted him from the plane. He was very cooperative. The pilot came out to talk to him. And when you hear what the pilot had to say and how this whole thing went down, look, I made this very clear on Twitter about an hour and a half ago. I don't fly Delta if I can help it because they suck. And I'm afraid that Southwest is going to suck now, too, because they're changing their plans. Delta has to be my least favorite. American Airlines right up there as well. But what they did here is so inappropriate and ridiculous when you hear it.
Ethan's got it.
He's got it, but we don't have time for it right now. That's the thing. He broke all this audio out. It's really good. We'll have time, certainly. I may save it for audio cut of the day, but it's good stuff. So that's coming up. Sue's News around the corner.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
I'll tell you what, there was an accident northbound 270 just before 6440, and they've got the right lane and the right shoulder blocked. Traffic, of course, is stacked up behind that. But we've got other issues this afternoon. And, of course, southbound, already slow pockets approaching Olive down through Gravois. There was another accident. Well, it was on the inner belt, and we had a jam in both directions, 170 at Del Mar. That is thinning out. Let me look at eastbound 6440. There are slow pockets just about Timberlake Manor through Big Bend, and then it opens up. Westbound lines up near Kings Highway, and then in pockets on out through the 70 split. 55 still slow in the construction zone headed down toward Bates. And if you're headed into Illinois, we look fine. But 5570 is slowing in both directions east of 111. That is all due to road work. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they give you quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. If you need to sell your home to buy a new one, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator that you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman on your side. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Lights flickering?
Grasser can fix it.
Breaker keeps tripping?
That's a Grasser job.
Outlet not working?
Grasser makes it right.
Old wiring need a rewire?
Grasser rewires with care.
From little fixes to major fixes.
Even the tricky ones.
We treat your home like our own.
Treat? Did you say treat? Woof.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak. I am excited to announce the opening of Golden Oak Premier Realty. That means we're your one-stop shop for financing and buying your home. One team, one goal, your home. Not moving? Now is still the time. Your home's equity is higher than ever. And with our 4.5% mortgage rate, you could save over $1,000 every month. Use your equity to pay off high-interest credit cards, lower your monthly payment, or even skip 2 months of mortgage payments. And don't forget, if your loan doesn't close, we'll pay for your appraisal. We make the process fast and easy, often getting your cash in as little as 14 days. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, call Golden Oak today and let us put our 25 years of experience to work for you. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
5.442 APR, FHA 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit, additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Hey, what's up, flies? This is David Spade.
Dana Carvey.
Look, I know we never actually left, but I'll just say it. We are back with another season of Fly on the Wall.
Every episode, including ones with guests, will now be on video. Every Thursday, you'll hear us and see us chatting with big-name celebrities.
And every Monday, you're stuck with just me and Dana. We react to news, what's trending, viral clips.
Follow and listen to Fly on the Wall everywhere you get your podcasts.
This is St. Louis Conservative. No filters, no fluff. Mark Reardon is back on the mic.
Attorney General Catherine Hanaway coming up here after Sue's News. Senator Eric Schmitt used to be Attorney General. It all kind of goes together.
Used to be a lot of
We
things.
put the pieces of the puzzle together here
we
on
do.
the show. That's all coming up here in just a little bit, but we got to do this afternoon.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Presented by U.S. Men's Medical Center.
Isn't that nice?
It is.
It is. It is National Pro-Life Cupcake Day. And I had to look that one up and say, well, what? Apparently, cupcakes break down walls and makes people comfortable. So if you are pro-life and want to discuss it with someone who isn't, you do it over cupcakes today. And it's National Moldy Cheese Day. I love a moldy cheese. Yes. Blue cheese. All of the ones around there. Fred, I'm guessing you're a no on blue cheese.
Oh, yeah, I'm a no on blue cheese.
Mark Reardon.
No, I like blue cheese. I don't like mold,
right.
though. Can I
Yeah.
make it? Is there a differentiation that I can make there?
That's what that blue is in the blue cheese. It's mold, Anyone?
Okay. I don't think I like it anymore. Is that what it is?
Yes. It's moldy cheese is that. It's not the kind that grows in your fridge. But if you take it and you put it on a nice cracker with a little bit of honey,
I love it. I love
you
it.
can't beat it.
I've never tried that with honey, though. That's interesting.
Mark.
Blue cheese and honey?
Blue cheese and honey.
I can
is
see
a
that maybe, but I've
thing.
never tried that.
Oh, yeah. Try it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You know, it's funny.
It.
So Alexa tried to make this chocolate bread last night. It was her
Oh.
recipe. She wanted to do it all on her own. She made it. It looked really good. And it came out and she had me try it. She gave me an end piece, first of all. I'm like, I want an end piece. And then I didn't want to say anything, and it was kind of dry, right?
Yeah.
And Becky goes, "You didn't put the buttermilk in."
Oh.
She goes, "Yes, I did," and no, she didn't. She
Oh.
she put the 2% milk in and not the buttermilk, and it just.
Big
but
difference.
she did a great job. It just
Yeah.
needed the buttermilk, I think.
Maybe you could do that tonight.
We're going to
Put
see the movie
butter-
tonight. We're going to
that's
see
right.
Soul on Fire.
Oh, that's going to be cool. All right, we have music for this one. And first is Ray. On this day in history, 64 years ago in 1961, Ray Charles hit number 1.
Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the
what you say.
I love Ray Charles.
I do too.
One of the best parts of the documentary that came out a couple of years ago about the making of We Are the World was seeing Ray Charles just do his thing and be a diplomat and say, let's try this, and he was so cool.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so this was number 1 64 years ago today on the pop singles chart. What was number 2? I'm often asked that here on Sue's News, and I'm unable to answer.
I thought you knew.
But today, I have the
I'll say
answer.
the Beatles.
Oh, it's not.
Oh.
Here's what's number 2. The Roy or it's
Oh,
Roy
you screwed it
Orbison.
up,
I
didn't
can't
you?
even
You
speak.
just screwed it up.
Dang it.
And I like Roy quite a bit, too.
I was all right for a while.
So this is the same year?
Same day in history.
Yeah.
Number 1 was Ray with Hit the Road Jack. Number 2 was Crying by Roy Orbison.
Do you know if Crying ever hit number 1?
It peaked at number 2.
Oh, there we go.
That
There's
was
your
it.
answers for you. Yeah.
That's why.
You couldn't tell that I've been crying.
I love Roy in the Traveling Wilburys.
Yeah,
That's
do
good
ya?
stuff. Oh yeah, he's great in that.
That haircut is something.
Well,
he didn't change
I'm commenting on the haircut. I'm commenting
That's
on the
fair.
music.
And then on this day in history, I just thought this was interesting. 52 years ago, in 1973 was when Elvis and Priscilla Presley got divorced in Santa Monica. They had only been married for 6 years, but she was awarded, okay, now think, this is 1973 money, $1.5 million in cash, $4,200 a month alimony, but only for 1 year. I guess she was going to live off the 1.5. Half the sale price of the couple's $750,000 home, and a 5% interest in 2 of Elvis's publishing companies. And it worked out for her. She never got remarried. She said while he was alive, she didn't think he could take it. And when
if she remarried?
Yeah,
Oh,
she
okay.
thought he would
Yeah.
take that really poorly.
Probably.
And then she thought, you know what, it's not going to be the same. And she felt that it was all about him in her relationship. And it probably was.
Well, yeah.
And she thought, you know what, I don't know if I really need to do that again. So she never got remarried. But I went down the rabbit hole of who she dated. And she, before he married Kris Kardashian, before she became Kris Kardashian, she dated Robert Kardashian before Chris.
Before OJ and everything.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
And she broke up with him because he wanted to get married. And Elvis was still with us. And she said, I can't do it.
Wow.
I know. I go down rabbit holes, Fred. It's not pretty.
That's
it's
hurting my
time
head.
suck.
I'm trying to put that all together.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, and did you hear this? Gene Simmons from Kiss lost consciousness behind the wheel and crashed into a parked car in Malibu on Tuesday.
No, I didn't hear that.
He called it a slight fender bender because he's Gene, but apparently he went across lanes of traffic to the other side. He said he is completely fine. Apparently, according to his wife, the doctor had changed his medication of some sort, and they had to readjust it. But, yeah, he passed out, but everybody was okay.
Yeah, that scares the crap out of you.
Right?
And then you also have to wonder if the medication story is true.
Well, I think it is because he's not a drinker or a drugger.
Okay.
And according to, well, yeah, I'm not sure that's the official
But
term.
a face painter.
He is definitely a face painter. According to a new report, the average person has paid around $150 in tips they're not totally comfortable with over the past year. Would you say that's true, Ethan?
That feels kind of high for me, but I also try to not go out that much just to save money.
No, I understand that, and that's a good thing. Mark?
Well, I got to tell you, I feel a little bad because I tip and I tip generously, but when I go to the car wash, I never have any money anymore.
Yeah,
And you can
you're
do
not
it
a money guy.
with the QR
Yes.
code and stuff, but I sometimes don't take the time to do that. So shame on me because I feel like these kids are getting ripped off because none of us carry as much cash.
I was in a Fred, what about you?
I think that sounds a little bit high.
Well, I was in a situation the other day where I went to pick up takeout, right? So it's me, my gas, somebody just puts it in a container and puts
Right.
it on the side, and the minimum was 18%.
No.
And
See,
I'm thinking, what? And
No.
they said, and now there is a section that says other, and you can type in your own, but come not?
Does it not negate the entire purpose behind tipping?
Yes.
Look, if you tip like a couple of bucks if you're picking it up at the fast.
Yes.
Yeah, come on.
Yes.
So that's why I thought, I bet that 150 isn't so difficult to attain. I think that's probably right. When you feel pressure, there are situations where you feel pressured into tipping more than you want for a ride service or a hair salon, or when you're picking up food. And they also say that overall 65% of people say they're fed up with tipping in general, and they would rather just pay more for food and then have it given to the waiter or waitresses.
That's what the rest of the world does to a certain
It
extent.
is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. And finally, in Sue's news, we do have today's random fact. The average weight for males in the U.S., Fred, what is your guess? 20 years or older?
180.
Not bad. Mark?
165.
And what do you say, Ethan?
190.
That is 199.8. The average weight for females is 170.8 pounds, which made me feel better.
We are a fat country.
Isn't
aren't
that
we?
crazy?
199 is the average?
199.8.
Oh, is that it?
They
No,
can carry.
that's not
I
tallness.
don't
That
think
is
so.
blubber in America. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Google's Gemini Enterprise and Gemini Business subscriptions will package an existing agent development tool for non-technical workers. They'll offer governmental features and new agents for specific functions. Allegedly, big companies are more likely to be exploring or testing AI agents than deploying them at scale. Wind farm operator Ørsted announcing today that it's planning to reduce its workforce by a quarter. The Trump administration ordering Ørsted to stop construction on a wind project this summer, which was already 80% complete and set to power more than 350,000 homes off the coast of Rhode Island. A U.S. court overturned that order last month. Stocks were lower today on Wall Street, with the Dow tumbling more than 240 points. The S&P 500 and tech-heavy NASDAQ both off slightly. Crude oil futures for November down more than 1.5% to under $62 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code COOL to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hey, I want to talk about Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. I heard from Brad Young. He was on the show earlier. He went to Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. I know that Tim Fitch, who's a guest on the roundtable, also took my advice. You should, too. Generator Supercenter, the #1 Generac generator dealer in the nation. And if your power goes out, and it could be a variety of reasons, tornado, like we had in the spring, ice storm, high winds, power grid failing, that's going to happen. It has happened around the world. So these are not portable generators. You're not going to, hear a loud sound outside of your home like when your neighbors pump up the gas power generators. It's going to kick in right away when your home power goes off. You're not going to have to worry about calling Ameren or anything like that. They have payment plans available. A free estimate is just a phone call away. So don't wait for the next storm or outage. Like I said, Brad took my advice, called out there. I think he talked to Levi at the outlet, which is out there on the Airport Road in Chesterfield. The number 314-499-2020. The website, GeneratorSupercenterofSt.Louis.com.
When it comes to roofing, you can't go wrong with Corel Roofing. Mark Cox here. My friend Curtis Corel came out, looked at my roof, worked with my insurance adjuster. I got a new roof, new gutters, and even new screens on some of my windows. Curtis specializes in working with insurance companies. Even if you've been denied, he's often able to work with these insurance adjusters to find a way to get it covered. Here's something else Curtis tells me. With cooler weather coming, you need to be aware of something Roofs cannot be installed if the temperature dips below 45 degrees. Some companies go ahead and do this anyway, but you're going to have problems down the road. So if you're concerned that your roof won't make it through the winter, call Curtis Carrell today. Carrell Roofing has crews with over 20 years of experience. They pay attention to detail, and they can work with all the luxury line roofing as well. Call Curtis at 314-222-9529. That's 222-9529. Or on Facebook at Carrell Roofing Co.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Where common sense rules the mic. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Oh, Sue, my daughter is so excited. We're going to see Soul on Fire, the John O'Leary movie tonight. And John will be on the show tomorrow at 5:30. This is a big nationwide motion picture theatrical release. I'm seeing ads for it everywhere. They're heavily advertising on Fox and during some of the baseball playoffs and the NFL. So the film was made here in St. Louis, which is even more special. And if you don't know John's story, we'll share it with you tomorrow night. It really is incredible. Jack Buck, played by William H. Macy, plays a huge role in the film. We are joined right now. We have a former Attorney General coming up after 5 o'clock. Senator Eric Schmitt will be here. We have the current Attorney General. She's new in the gig. Catherine Hanaway back with us this afternoon. Hello, Catherine. How are you? Welcome back.
Great, Mark. Hi, Sue. Thrilled to be on after those ads, though, for roofing, generators, heating and cooling. I'm wondering if winter is upon us.
Well, it's going to feel like that way, I think, the next couple of mornings for sure. Before I start on some of the things that your office is doing, and this is certainly a topic that your office is involved in, we're hearing that the sheriff of St. Louis, Alfred Montgomery, has been arrested, and then he's in an ankle bracelet at this point. Can you give us an update? Because you've been involved in trying to get some things moving in a different direction in that office. So what's the latest on Sheriff Montgomery?
Well, so he got charged with 5 additional felony counts in federal court today, made his appearance and has been put on house arrest. And there is going to be a bond revocation hearing in federal court next Tuesday. This week we filed for summary judgment, which means we think there are undisputable facts that should lead to his resignation. So that's kind of where everything is right now. It's all developing pretty quickly.
What were the new charges about? Different behavior or just some that were related to some
No,
things
they were related to retaliating against and tampering with witnesses.
Okay. Would all this go away if he resigns or not?
Well, our case would go away. I don't know what happens to the federal case.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not the decision maker there, but our case just seeks to remove him from office.
You think he could have simplified it, but I guess not, right? Going to try to fight.
He sure could have, and he sure would have done the city of St. Louis a favor.
So I want to talk to you about a couple of the issues that are coming up on the ballot next year. But there was an issue or a ruling, if you will, upholding Missouri's parental consent law that is rather significant that was related to a lawsuit. So explain what happened there. This was a case that was brought in response to what passed last year, Amendment 3. There's another Amendment 3, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, so when Amendment 3 passed last year, the pro-abortion forces took the position that it repealed every single regulation and law in Missouri that governed abortions, including our law requiring parental consent. And then they sued to get that parental consent law off the books, and we beat them. We won. You still will have to have a parental consent in Missouri for an abortion.
It seems like such a no-brainer. I mean, I don't even know how that could be controversial, but I guess in some circles it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you take your child in for any other medical procedure, you've got to have parental consent. If your child goes in without you, they have to come back and seek your consent. And there are, judicial remedies if the child is in some circumstance where their parents aren't qualified to give consent.
Now, is that decided once and for all, or is that still something that could be up on appeal somewhere?
No, I think they'll take it up and on appeal.
Okay. Right.
Hopefully this measure that the legislature has moved to the ballot will clarify a lot.
On the topic of ballot issues, and this is where I always get concerned that people are going to get confused, and I think voters are going to get confused. But there's going to be another Amendment 3 next year that deals with abortion. And there was a story that came out, I think, 2 days ago about a judge okaying the ballot language in that particular issue. Is that something that your office is involved in as well?
It is. We had to defend that ballot language, and I will tell you that I think the Secretary of State did a very good job in drafting this ballot language. Initially, the court had some concerns about it. They redrafted, and we were able to successfully defend that language. And what is going to go on the ballot is a measure that would, in large part, repeal what passed last year. It would put safety precautions in. It would, put back in the parental consent requirement. It would prohibit anyone from giving minors gender reassignment treatment. It would really repeal the more radical portions of that Amendment 3 that passed last year.
And is that so? It says the new language is pretty simple, isn't it? It says repeal Article 1, Section 36, approved in 2024, allow abortions for medical emergencies, fetal anomalies, rape, and incest. And that, my understanding is that, that's a bit of a compromise, certainly, that the pro-life groups included in order to get this thing on the ballot and make it a little bit more sane.
That's absolutely right. And I think this has been a very good week for those of us who care about the sanctity of life. Both of these measures should protect life in Missouri more rigorously, but it is a more sane version and would put those protections in the Missouri Constitution.
So we had I never played the audio, but there was a report, I think it was from KSDK yesterday, about a shooting. It hardly got any attention. It involved a 14-year-old kid. It was downtown here, not too far. There was another set of shootings last night. We know that the crime issue is still significant in St. Louis. We also know that federally, President Trump is sending in, some troops to other cities. St. Louis has been mentioned on that list. Is the Attorney General's office, in coordination with the governor's office, involved in any discussions about those issues at this point?
Well, obviously, in some ways, not in some ways, in all ways, I'm the lawyer for the state.
Right.
So I don't want to get too much into any advice that I might be giving the governor on these issues. He has his own general counsel. But look, I favor the National Guard coming to Missouri. I think with the new mayor, with Gabe Gore, with the governor's emphasis on crime, with it being my number one priority, we have a lot of momentum going in the right direction. What we need is boots on the ground. The St. Louis police force just simply doesn't have enough officers at this point to patrol all the areas that need patrol. I support them so strongly, but they need help. Downtown is, well, better than anyone. Downtown right now is largely unpatrolled. We've got to get people there. The block around our office in downtown is not a block you would ever want to walk unescorted. We're fortunate that we have guards at the door. It's a real problem, and it's preventing our region from coming back economically.
It's even, I had my friend Fred Perry on last week from Columbia. Fred was a Boone County commissioner. We've known each other for a long time. We went to Mizzou together. But this crime issue is even affecting, even smaller communities like Columbia. Now, obviously, they've had a lot of growth in the past decade in particular since Mizzou joins the SEC. But this is not just a St. Louis downtown problem. Even smaller communities are having issues. And some of the same reasons are happening, where you have touchy-feely people in mayor's positions or et cetera, and they don't think crime should be dealt with by police, but by social workers. So that's part of the issue that we're experiencing nationwide.
Absolutely, 100%. I saw the letter from the president of the University of Missouri calling for the policing in Columbia to be much more serious. And Fred Perry and I also went to Mizzou together. And he's
Fred?
been a friend for a long time.
Yeah.
I know Fred really well.
Yeah, I could tell you some Fred, but he was kind of running the man-eater when I was just starting at KCOU, so we knew each other from that cross-journalistic perspective because he was a print guy, but he's a character. But he's also passionate and very involved in those issues in Columbia and has been for decades.
And you and I will have to compare Fred's stories off the air one day, but he is a passionate defender and spokesperson for Columbia. And look, we're going to have to change our policing philosophy a little bit. We are going to have to focus on those who are just stoned out of their minds and living on the streets and preventing law-abiding citizens from being able to comfortably walk around downtown. There was a new statute passed last year that allows us to remove homeless people from public places. We need to start doing those things. I think we're also going to have a terrific U.S. attorney in Tom Albus. We're going to loan him some personnel to help work on those cases as well. Soon we'll be rolling out some additional very specific measures about what we're going to be doing in downtown St. Louis.
Awesome. Keep us posted. Catherine Hanaway, thanks for jumping on here with me this afternoon.
Thanks, Mark.
All
Thanks,
right, take care.
Have a great weekend.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, westbound 70 out of downtown, some moderate volume, Jennings Station Road. Eastbound is slowing between 141 and just past the airport. And then westbound, a moderate volume pocket or two out west. Westbound 6440. Now that's pretty slow, and it's just past Kings Highway out to an accident reported near Clayton Warson. And then some slow pockets on out through 70. Southbound 270, slow pockets, and that's from Olive. It goes down through 21. 55 is really slow, south of Arsenal through Bates in the construction zone. 44 westbound slow in front of the Arch grounds. And 5570 on the Illinois side, really slow in both directions east of 111. That's all due to road work. Now, we look fine through North County, if that helps you at all. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Barron Mirror Glass and Door has the largest, most beautiful showroom of all of St. Louis. Full of the latest, most custom designs. It's in Chesterfield Valley. There you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis for 25 years this month. Thanks for being a part of a quarter century of engaging local talk. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Ronald Reagan once famously said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." When it comes to economic growth, government can be a roadblock. With red tape, regulations, and subsidies, government stifles entrepreneurship and also props up businesses that deserve to go under. Unlike government, free markets encourage risk-taking, freedom to succeed or fail. Governments shouldn't be picking winners and losers, the market should. Free markets benefit the business owner and the customer by encouraging competition. Free Market enabled a young man named J.C. Hall selling picture postcards in Kansas City to turn his idea into Hallmark cards. In St. Louis, the Free Market made it possible for Adolphus Busch to turn his father-in-law's local beer into the world's largest brewery. A free market also means you get to send your kids to the school of your choice. Learn more about free markets at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. Quo, formerly OpenPhone, gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. Quo lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? Quo automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With Quo's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with Quo. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/free and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's quo.com/free. QUO.com/free.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair,
Then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I want to do some of this Delta Airlines stuff right now. I did have a listener on the X-Formerly Twitter tell me that the hat that I'm going to talk about here was not Make America Great Again, but it was something like that, but it didn't say Make America Great Again. Now, that might change the context of the story. I always like to get it right. I'm not sure. To me, it looks like a MAGA hat, but this is starting to take off. So what happened was, this is a dude who apparently is from Georgia who's on a flight, and you'll hear a conversation. Some of the audio is a little difficult to hear. I think you'll hear the conversation, but the guy has a hat on. I think it's a MAGA hat of some sort. You'll hear him describe how he let some people take a picture with it, and then they asked him to take it off and keep it off, and then he has to go outside the plane. He's asked to exit the plane, and the pilot comes up and has a discussion with him. So here's how it starts a little bit.
So now I'm waiting for the captain to have a word with me. And I'm flying Delta, and I went on there and sat down, and I haven't said a word to anybody. I haven't done anything, but because of my hat, they asked me to step off a plane. So anyhow, I'm waiting for the captain. He'll be here shortly.
So you see his face in that video. Most of the video, he's just kind of has his camera out. It's pointed toward the pilot's chest, so you don't really see his face too much. And I bring that up because you don't really see the hat either. You see the red hat and the white letters, but I can't tell you for certain. You know, I've looked for this because the listener tells me it wasn't Make America Great Again. I haven't seen anything else or anything to indicate that it was something else. So then the pilot comes out.
So there's been, let me put you in my perspective. I have to comply with the wishes of everybody, okay?
Oh, everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah,
exactly.
What about my wishes?
Okay, so
yeah, that doesn't make sense. I have to comply with the wishes of everybody? Well, what about this dude's wishes, right?
Safety is my number one concern.
I ain't never broke a law in my life.
I understand.
And I fly my Sky Priority, and I fly Delta. I wouldn't fly nothing else.
I hope you.
I haven't said nothing to nobody. Haven't touched nobody.
Let me explain. Okay. I hope you write this up. I do.
What?
I hope you write this whole thing up, okay? What happened?
All right, so that's an interesting comment because it sounds like the pilot's saying, look, this is not really my policy, but I have to abide by it. But this is the point where he realizes, I think the pilot then becomes uncomfortable because he realizes the guy is recording this.
Believe me, I'm videoing it.
Oh, I don't.
Oh, no. I can video, but I'm being questioned here in front of people, but...
You and I are going to stop this.
Is this a Delta going to take me off the plane because of my hat?
Not because of your hat. It's because you're not complying with the instructions.
What's there to comply with?
My flight crew is in charge of safety.
Okay, and I'm doing something wrong? I've just done nothing wrong in my life.
All right, so this is the reasoning is interesting here because the pilot tries to make the case that it's not the hat, sir, that's doing this. It's the fact that the flight attendants asked you to take the hat off and you didn't comply. And then you'll hear him say, what if I have another safety issue on my airplane? I now cannot trust you to comply because you didn't take your hat off. I'm telling you, that's what he says.
If you can't comply with the simple instruction of removing the hat...
The lady next to me asked to take a picture of me, so I put it back on. She was taking pictures for her daughter, and the next thing you know, they come right back over there again.
I don't know all the specifics. I'm just saying, I'm giving you the option, okay? Either you keep the hat off and you follow the instructions of the flight attendants, because in the case of an emergency, how do I know, based on this simple little issue, that you would follow their instructions in an emergency?
Oh, I'd be glad to help with everything if there's an emergency.
I mean, that's just dumb. I'm sorry. So then the flight attendant comes out, and this gets interesting as well.
The lady was taking a picture of it, and another guy goes, man, I love that hat. So they said...
He's videotaping this. He's going to put it on YouTube. So.
Oh, I ain't going to put nothing on the internet. I'm just making sure I'm protecting my rights. I don't fly nothing but Delta. I'm a Sky Priority. I fly all the time. I wore this hat to Vegas. I wore this hat to Salt Lake City. Ain't nobody said nothing. So now, if there's somebody on that plane that's got something on their head or I don't like their shirt or their T-shirt, you going to help them remove it for me?
Good question.
See what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense to me. I ain't trying to... Don't let me hold the plane up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll hold the hat, but I'm going to address this when I get back because I think my rights are being violated.
I mean, he's trying to be pretty
Yeah, he
cooperative here,
is.
I think. And then she brings up, look, if you have profanity or other things on your shirt, we ask you to cover that up.
Just don't say nothing bad.
Well,
Do you think everything's been built back better?
not in your situation. I have denied passengers that says, for example, bitch one, bitch two, or a profanity t-shirt, they have to cover it up. So the wordings does
If this
take
had an F
offensive.
word on it, ma'am, I wouldn't even wear it
I
in public.
understand.
But-
I asked you, it's only an hour of flight, just take it off during flight.
Right,
You
and then
know,
a
when
lady
you get off
next
the
to me, she
plane.
said, put it on, let me take a picture. So I put it on, she took a picture, another guy took a picture, and then somebody walked up and said, we need to go talk.
Oh, no, okay.
You know, it hadn't been 5 minutes. The plane hadn't even took off yet.
It appeared, and what the flight attendant saw, that as soon as she left, you disrespected her wish and put.
No, he agreed. He agreed with me.
No, I
He
didn't
was
put it on
like,
right
that's what
there.
I'm saying.
I had other people sitting around me asking me to put it back on because they don't have the right to tell you to take it off.
Yeah, so at that point, you can even hear the flight
Yes,
attendants kind of
yes.
agreeing with the guy. All right, one more cut here. I mean, this whole thing is nuts, but I'm kind of angry that I don't know exactly what the hat says. You heard him refer to Build Back Better, so I don't know that it says Make America Great Again, but there's no profanity. I think we kind of get that from the takeaway here.
But it appears.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
It appears.
It appears?
It appeared to the
But
flight
he
attendant.
agreed. He, as soon as I spoke to him, he
I
took
just
it off.
want to make sure
Yeah.
that everybody on my
Yeah.
flight
Yeah.
understands that
Understand.
safety is number one.
Yeah.
And if we are in an
Well, if this is
emergency,
violating safety in any manner, we got serious problems with Delta. 'Cause, I mean, this hat's just a hat.
Yeah, I mean, right?
Right.
Yeah, how is? But again, you're not listening to my flight attendants.
taking this thing way out over here.
Well,
I'm
no,
trying to
you're
focus
saying
on safety.
you're saying you're worried about safety.
It is. If you can't, again, the appearance, okay? So you tell me to do something, right?
I wouldn't tell you that you're the captain.
No, I'm not. Just you and me talking, okay?
Okay.
If you tell me to do something, and then I do it in front of you, and as soon as you turn your back, I do go back to what I was doing, would you not be offended?
Well, but it's not a matter of being offended. If you was doing something that was, if I had the authority to tell you to
Don't
do
tell me.
something,
No,
you can
no, just
question
you
it.
and
I'm
I.
not breaking no law.
I'm not saying you are.
You know.
Yeah, but the guy's right. I mean, the pilot's analogy is ridiculous, and the dude knew this.
I'm an ultra conservative.
That'd be like coming up to me and saying,
I'm
well,
probably more ultra MAGA than you are, okay?
That's interesting too, right? Now the pilot will probably get fired for that. He won't get fired for any of the other stuff.
I'm just saying that right now, I got to make sure that
Donald Trump signed 2 of these for me across there. He thought it was hilarious. Everybody thinks it's hilarious. So somebody's got their panties in a wad over my hat.
Exactly.
And I'm out here, a businessman, well recognized amongst all the high. I mean, I can call the president, I can call the governor on the phone right now of Georgia. That's people I know. And I'm out here being questioned like I'm a troublemaker. Or,
No.
Yeah, these people are going to be looking.
We just want to make sure that you comply, like I spoke to you.
I
and
don't. This flight's supposed to be
don't say
taken off.
anything, okay?
Either let's fly or
All right.
y'all remove me from the plane.
No, just
Just
Y'all want to remove me from the plane?
No, all right, thank you.
Well,
Thank you so much.
All right, so they let him on the plane, I guess, but clearly it made its way to YouTube.
Yep.
You know, and I think it should have. Now I do look. You know this. I always want to know all the facts,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But I don't think that anything that the guy said. I really want to know exactly what the hat says, and I'll try to do that. Maybe we can find out before the end of the show. I asked the listener who hit me on the X, formerly Twitter, if he had a picture of it. But that's a fascinating situation.
It
and
is.
it is blowing up on the socials bigly.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There was a stall northbound 270 approaching Gravois. Watch for that. It was on the right-hand side. It's southbound 270 that's lined up now. Olive, and this goes down through 21, and southbound 170 is pretty slow from Olive through 64. Now, we've got westbound 70, moderate volume at Jennings Station, past the airport, O'Fallon. 64, that's Kings Highway, and pockets out through 70. Now, we've got some volume eastbound as drivers head for the Blues game tonight. Go Blues. We've got it a little bit at Timberlake Manor, kind of in pockets between there and Big Bend. Southbound 55 slow south of Arsenal through Bates. And if you're headed into Illinois, it's really not too bad downtown. This report is brought to you by, hold on, what time is it? Me! I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Climate Masters. We specialize in older homes. Climate Masters Heating and Cooling.
trusted heating and cooling installation and maintenance service, keeping the St. Louis Metro comfortable since 1978. Call us today at 314-968-8383. Climate Masters.
There are plenty of things that are milestones in life, and one of those, of course, is going to be when you retire. And in order to prepare for that, you have to have an understanding of how things work. How is your money going to last that entire time? How do you know how to handle taxes within it? You've got to make every dollar count. That is why I recommend financial and tax architects, because not only can they help you do that, I mean, they will help you write a written retirement financial plan and get it in place and give you peace of mind, but they'll do it by explaining to you how things work. Here's when to take Social Security. Here's a tax benefit you could grab if you understood how. So go to a class with them. They put it on. It's called Retirement Planning 101. Call 314-888-5101. 314-888-5101, because you have to register, go, it's free, you will learn, and then start to feel better about retirement.
Celebrate the spooky season with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. You can take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleanings. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the saving.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Big news! Golden Oak is now your one-stop shop with Golden Oak Premier Realty and Golden Oak Lending. Buy, sell, or refinance and save thousands.
Golden Oak Lending, cured my blues.
NMLS 114937.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
The final touches. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Top Israeli officials are debating the breakthrough deal with Hamas that will end the fighting and return hostages and prisoners, as President Trump plans to travel to the Middle East to sign the deal.
President Trump says he hopes to be there when Israeli hostages are freed from Gaza early next week, telling reporters he plans to leave for the Middle East on Sunday.
Everybody I see is celebrating in Israel, but they're celebrating in many other countries too. A lot of the Muslim and Arab countries, they're celebrating. Everybody's celebrating. Everybody loves the deal.
While Israel and Hamas have agreed to phase one, President Trump says other elements of a peace plan are still to be determined, including the makeup of an international stability force. But the president says no one will be forced to leave Gaza.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. New York Attorney General Letitia James says she will fight what she called baseless charges after she was indicted by a grand jury in Virginia on charges of fraud and making false statements related to an investigation into a home she purchased in that state.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system.
The indictment coming a day after former FBI Director James Comey pled not guilty to lying to Congress during a Senate hearing. In a statement, New York Governor Kathy Hochul said New Yorkers know AG James for her integrity, independence, and relentless fight for justice. On day 9 of the government shutdown, and the Senate failed again to pass a short-term spending bill.
We urge Republicans to back away from their corner and have serious negotiations with the American people, serious negotiations that the American people deserve and expect.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer. Democrats want the bill to include an extension on subsidies from the Affordable Care Act that are set to expire at the end of the year. America is listening to Fox News.
You're still glowing
flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
All is quiet with our weather for evening plans. Temperatures in the 60s, 49 for the overnight low, mainly clear skies. Friday, a mix of clouds and sunshine, 78 for the high in the afternoon. Friday night, some clouds, 58. Weekend, above average temperatures, but it's quiet. Saturday, sunny and 81. Sunday, sunny and 84. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Oh, I think, I played that Delta Airlines audio. I was thinking about using that for, but it is the home opener and the season opener for the St. Louis Blues tonight. A lot of you heading into downtown right now. You know, John Gruden jumped on board with the Blues late in the season in the spring, and we played some of the audio earlier this week because maybe it was last week. Eli Drinkwitz, the coach of the Tigers, sent a nice package to John Gruden where he opens this up. It's kind of his social media gimmick, if you will, but he has a nice message for Blues fans that will probably be used here for audio cut of the day. I'm so excited because, and I'm a little bummed that I'm going to miss sports tonight because there's not only good baseball on, but a hell of an NFL game with the Giants and the Eagles. But John O'Leary is going to join us tomorrow night in the 5 o'clock hour. I love John. I've known him for a long time. His story is amazing. It's been well known here in St. Louis for decades that John was playing with fire. He lit himself on fire. He, should have been dead. They didn't expect him to live, and he remarkably not only survived, but went on to live this amazing life. He's got a great family. He's on the speaking circuit. His story is more than just a little inspirational. And then the St. Louis aspect, which makes it even more fascinating, is that a broadcaster by the name of Jack Buck, and some of you might even be too young to remember Jack Buck, probably not most of you. He was Joe's dad, but he was a hell of a Cardinals announcer and national sports announcer. Some people will tell you they like Jack Buck better than Joe. I'm not a Joe hater. I like Joe Buck on play-by-play. But William H. Macy plays Jack Buck, who is credited by John literally saving his life. So my daughter is extremely excited because I've told her John's story. She's seen the trailer. We're going tonight, and then John will be on the show tomorrow. On the Mizzou front, my friend Chris Gervino will give us a preview here of the Mizzou-Alabama game coming up at 5:32. That's a huge game in Columbia this weekend. Also, we got some interesting news from Los Angeles yesterday about the Palisades fire investigation. They made a very interesting arrest, and Brian Ping is a St. Louis native. He is an anchor for KNX Radio in Los Angeles. He was our correspondent during all those fires, certainly at the early part of this year in January. He's going to join us here in a few minutes as well. But right now, we have United States Senator Eric Schmitt back on the program. How are you, sir?
I'm good. You know what's interesting? I didn't realize it until I just did an interview with Scott Jennings, and then immediately to Mark Reardon. I mean, how about that? Like, the universe is healing. It's a great day for me.
You've gotten a chance to know my friend Jennings a little bit, haven't you, in the past few months?
Yeah, we were in Iowa actually at an event about a month ago, and then I've seen him in the CNN kind of green room when he does, if I'll go on with Caitlin Collins, where I put on my body armor for an interview like that, and then he's doing that roundtable. But yeah, he's a good guy, and we communicate, as you know, huge Cardinals fans.
Yes.
So we get to commiserate about that a little bit. So
yeah, let's skip that topic for this interview. What do you say?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, let's start with something really, really important. That's this Middle East peace deal. I mean, I'm always one to be a little skeptical. I've been around for many decades covering Middle East peace, and ceasefires don't ever seem to work out. But this one does seem to be different. So there's a lot of celebration. If these hostages get released as planned, I mean, that in and of itself is huge. Your thoughts on what President Trump has achieved here?
Yeah, I mean, he is, I think, establishing himself as the peacemaker in chief, and should get the Nobel Prize, by the way. This is what was perceived as intractable. It's generational. It's longstanding, and it only would have happened because, or it only did happen because President Trump was very committed to this process. And so it's phase one. So phase one is the ceasefire. The hostages are released. That's a big deal, and I know that I don't want to understate it. Like, that's actually a really big deal. And it only happened because I think President Trump, America, was committed to this and a lot of lives are going to be saved. And it's a really good thing. And then the second phase to it will be, and that's going to continue to be negotiated, is what does that governance look like? But the fact is that President Trump has the Arab states involved and invested in this and building on his success with the Abraham Accords. So it's just, you look around, whether it's Cambodia and Thailand or Kosovo and Serbia or Pakistan and India or Armenia and Azerbaijan, and now this, it's a pretty impressive string of success, which is a good thing.
It really is, and I'm still kind of keeping my ears open to see. I know Senator Fetterman heaped high praise on President Trump. Will any of the other Democrats be able to do that if this all falls into place the way it seems like it is?
I would hope so. I think it's kind of like a Rorschach test, man. If you can't say good job, and as an American, we're happy to see it, you may want to check into a mental ward or something. You know what I mean? So I would hope that you'd have more Democrats to at least say that this is a good thing. And again, there's no other way to look at it. It just wouldn't have happened without President Trump's leadership.
All right, shut down madness. Where are we going to go from here? I mean, I think that they have no leverage. I don't see how they get out of this without, caving eventually. They want you guys to address these healthcare subsidies that expire at the end of the year. Where do you think this is going?
Well, traditionally, when you have this kind of shutdown politics, which is stupid, right? Like, first of all, I'm advocating for a structural change. When you get to September 30th, you should continue to fund government at that level while you're working on appropriations bills, right? That's really what the Republicans are saying is we're going to get a 7-week extension to work on more appropriations bills. Chuck Schumer never did that. He never had appropriations bills on the floor. So Republicans really trying to reform it to get back to what's called regular order. And then, by the way, those have to be bipartisan. You have to get 60 votes on appropriations bills. And so that's a very reasonable thing. What the Democrats now are interjecting is partisan politics, divisive stuff that you might want to have that debate, right? We can have a debate on healthcare. We can have a debate on military or on law enforcement, whatever it might be, but you don't hold the government hostage for that. And typically when that kind of thing happens, the exit ramp is a clean CR, a clean continuing resolution, which is what Republicans have offered. So I know that some of the media are trying to spin this like the two parties can't come together. There's finger pointing. This is actually really clear. If the media was honest and treated it like any other shutdown, they would say that the Democrats are shutting the government down because they refuse to fund the government. And that's what's happening. So we'll see how it plays out. But I agree with you. I think, though, that what's really happening, Mark, it's less about their offer, which is $1.5 trillion in spending, funding for health care for illegal immigrants and non-citizens. That's all true. That's their offer. But if you peel back the onion, the psychology behind this is they think they got to show that they're fighting against Trump and they're the resistance. And that's just really destructive, I think, for the country.
This story broke a couple of days ago, Senator, about the tracking of phone calls from Jack Schmitt. This happened before you might feel a little left out here. Senator Hawley was tracked, but you were not quite in the United States Senate at the time. This is another one of those things that's extremely troubling, it would seem. Now, I've heard some of your Democrat colleagues in the Senate, even Chris Coons, even some of the crazy ones, express concern over this. This is a pretty serious situation. Now, I've made it clear that it doesn't seem like there was wiretapping. Senator Hawley said wiretapping. I don't think they were listening in on calls, but we still have a lot of questions here.
Yeah, well, we don't know that yet. So all we know from that briefing is that there's call logs from calls that came into those phones, calls that went out in the location. But that doesn't mean that they didn't get text messages or other things too. So we just don't know that yet. Secondly, actually, I was involved in this. I wasn't in the Senate, but this Arctic Frost operation, Mark, was broader than just those 8 senators. They pulled in the Republican Attorneys General Association. I happened to be the chairman at the time. Ashley Moody, who's now the senator from Florida, she was on the executive committee at the time. So you pull in 2 now sitting U.S. senators are part of that. They were also, that net was cast to Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk, the Republican Governors Association. It's really, I mean, it makes Watergate seem like small potatoes. And I think that what's really important, what I tried to do in that hearing this week was, let's just tell the story. What's the tale of the tape? Russiagate was made up by Hillary Clinton to distract from her email problems. The intelligence agencies, including Comey and Brennan and all those people in charge in 2016, used that to get Obama to spy on Trump. So you're spying on a political candidate. Then when Trump won, they used it to try to sideline and further this lie, sideline his presidency. Then the FBI, leading up, they couldn't let him win again in 2020, suppresses the Hunter Biden laptop story, said it was a Russian hack and leak operation. They knew that was false. Then 3 days after Joe Biden becomes president, they start their censorship operation, which we uncovered in the Missouri versus Biden case, and they also started to surveil sitting senators and other groups who were Republicans in this. And by the way, then Trump announces in 2022, they thought he was gone, announces he's running again. 3 days after that, Jack Smith is activated, Fani Willis is activated, the number 3 person at DOJ goes to Alvin Bragg's office. This was a whole of government effort to weaponize the Justice Department to go after political enemies. And when you lay that out, it is hard for anyone to deny this is the worst abuse of our justice system we've ever seen in this country. And so when you hold those people accountable, that's not the same thing, right? When we've seen the weaponization we've seen, Mark, and then you want to go do something about it to make sure those people are held to account, that is not weaponization. That's holding people accountable. So we can't ever let this happen again.
Well, you were asked that question, and I played that audio a couple of days ago. You were asked, in a little bit of a gaggle, do you think that Trump's Justice Department is acting politically by going after Trump's enemies? And you made that distinction the other day.
Yeah, no, I think we have to be very clear about that, because if we let the Democrats and the mainstream media, the legacy media, muddy the waters on it, right? They'll do it again. That's the thing. That's what I worry them. I don't want the Justice Department to be weaponized. You have to have a lot of restraint in those roles. I wrote that book, The Last Line of Defense, that people can check out right now. But I could write another book on things I didn't do as Attorney General, because, when the evidence isn't there, you just don't move forward. You certainly don't go after political enemies or criminal prosecution. They crossed all those lines, Mark, and we just can't let it happen again. And I think that's why there's probably more indictments coming for this ongoing conspiracy that almost lasted 10 years to not just get Trump, but then to go after, people that they consider to be the deplorables and the trash and the bitter clingers. I mean, this really was kind of a sickness on the left, but they were able to weaponize law enforcement, and it's just wrong.
Hey, are you involved? Let me cover a couple other issues here, because I don't think I've asked you this question. A couple of Fridays ago, I went up to North City and I looked at the tornado damage. I had not been up there yet. And, obviously there was a Wall Street Journal article that came out last week about FEMA and saying basically some of the changes, St. Louis is being used as a bit of a test case. Senator Hawley's involved. I know that there is an effort on the part of the entire delegation to make sure that we get the money that's, coming here for the emergency cleanup in particular. But what would you say on that front? Is your office working on that right now? Yeah, I would.
I was on the ground the day after, and was on the phone that weekend with maybe that day, I think, with Susie Wiles and President Trump about what happened in St. Louis. And we were able to get the declaration not just for public property, but for personal property. That was a big deal. And then we were also to work closely with FEMA and DHS and to talk to Kristi Noem to advocate for St. Louis to get the $185 million that's coming for that cleanup. So those are big wins. They're empowering locals to do the work, and FEMA will and the Army Corps will be supervising it. But no question, we're going to be very involved in the oversight of that to make sure that it's being done the right way and St. Louis is getting the help that it needs. But, there are a lot of places that haven't had that money flow, and we worked really hard to make sure that happened, and we certainly want to make sure that it gets in the right place.
So you referenced you have your own book out right now. Have you cozied up with Kamala's book, Senator?
I have not. I haven't. I have not. What is it, 91 days? Is that what it's called? Something like that?
I think it's 107 or something like that.
107 or something, but
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, my guess is with her writing it, there'd be a lot of pictures. That'd be
it's a picture book. That's what it is. And by the way, you have no idea because, I see your social media, and every once in a while there's a posting on Instagram in particular of Eric Schmitt teeing off at a beautiful golf course with that driver. And I so want to make fun of you and say, hey, you're kind of coming over the top, but I got to tell you, it's a pretty nice swing and you're smashing that ball. It pains me to say that, Eric.
I appreciate it. I like to say I play well enough that President Trump invites me back to play again. So that's my motivation.
Hey, that's pretty good because I've seen, look, everybody's got their unique golf swing, but he can play. There's no doubt about that.
He can play. And when you play with him, it's interesting. There's these he has these super duper fast carts, and he plays pretty fast.
Really?
So you get to your ball. Oh my gosh, you get to your ball. And there was one time where I had hit a drive, and it was in a fairway, sand trap, and I didn't hit a good shot on the second one. I didn't hit it very far, and by that time, President Trump was already like on the green. So I just picked up my ball and I took a 6. I wasn't going to mess with that, but he's a lot of fun to play golf with, and the stories are true. I mean, he has the music, he picks the songs. It's a lot of fun to play golf with him.
That is awesome. Well, no, I do enjoy seeing the videos. All right, Eric, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have a great weekend. Thanks for squeezing me in today.
All right, Mark, take care.
That is United States Senator Eric Schmitt. It does not surprise me that Trump's got like supercharged golf carts, right?
Of course not.
That seems to make sense. Okay, now I have to make a correction here, and I'm usually much better at sniffing these things out. But something didn't really sit right with me, so that's why I had to do a little further investigation. I have to credit Tony, who was a listener that brought this to my attention. On the Delta Airlines deal, when the audio that I played, right? 2 things, and I think this changes the narrative a bit. The hat, which looked like a MAGA hat. For those people who aren't listening, there's this video that's going viral of this guy on a Delta flight. It looks like he has a MAGA hat on. He doesn't. It says, "Build Back Better, my ass." But it looks like a MAGA hat. But here's the more important point about that. So that, I think that changes the narrative a little bit. That video is recirculating. The incident actually happened 3 years ago when they were talking about Build Back Better. So it's not a new video, and here's what I'll tell you. There was a story, and I've told you before, I do not, spend a lot of time on Facebook these days, but when I'm super bored or something, I'll go up there, and sometimes I check Facebook Messenger because listeners communicate with me. That's a different app, but anyway, I'll kind of, see whose birthday it is, etc. I had 3 or 4 different people last week send me a screenshot of someone in Columbia, Missouri, I think it was at Rockbridge High School, being named homecoming queen, and it was a trans kid.
Oh, okay.
Now, the deal with that is I think it really did happen, but it was recirculating last week. It happened 3 or 4 years ago. It was not a new story.
Right.
That's what's happened here. This story somehow got picked up, and some of the bigger accounts on Twitter started blasting it out.
Man.
Same thing with Facebook. Now, here's the problem. And I want to correct the record, right, and make sure people know, because I think that the story has now changed. Yeah. But 90% of the people who heard the story aren't going to hear the correction, right? And most of the people probably retweeting it and doing things like that. Look, I've had people insist today, it was a MAGA hat. Well, it wasn't. Now I have a video where it says, "Build Back Better again, my ass." That's a little different. It really is.
And the fact that it's 3 years old, wow.
I know. But I usually sniff these things. I'm disappointed in myself. I usually do better on those.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
At least you correct yourself. A lot of people don't.
Got to do that.
Westbound 70, just some moderate volume at Jennings Station Road, a little bit past the airport. 64 is lined up Kings Highway, and again at 270, and again through Chesterfield Valley and pockets out through 70. But we've got eastbound traffic tonight for the first Blues game, home game of the season. And we've got eastbound traffic 64, slow pockets 270 through Big Bend, and then you open up into downtown. Now, southbound 270 has some volume south of Page. This goes down through almost Gravois. Northbound is slow approaching Gravois, a report of an incident there. And 55 has slow pockets south of Arsenal. Down through, looks like Bates now. And if you're headed into Illinois, we look fine. This report brought to you by Aspen Contracting. Don't let cracked or missing siding leave your home vulnerable to St. Louis weather. Aspen Contracting has crews, project managers, all ready to protect your home and restore its beauty. Call Aspen today for your free siding inspection. 636-465-1696. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need, while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Accidents can happen in the blink of an eye, especially in a busy city like St. Louis. Whether you're a rideshare driver or passenger, injuries can leave you feeling lost, confused, and unsure of where to turn. At Kaufman Townsley, we understand. We're from here. We live in St. Louis, and we know what it takes to fight for the rights of our neighbors. We're here to help you through the difficult time with the experience and care you deserve. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
If your kitchen's not even functional and you can't stand the look of your bathroom, stop just living around the problem. Let Lakeside Renovation and Design help you love your home again. From spa-like bathrooms to these beautiful, functional, custom kitchens to a finished basement, their in-house team over there at Lakeside, they're going to help bring any vision you have to life. They're going to walk you through every step of the process, the planning, the permits, all the things we don't like to do. They take care of it. You just have to dream. And they have financing options like 0 payments, 0% interest for 24 months. Schedule your free consultation today. It's lakesiderd.com.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. Quo, formerly OpenPhone, gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. Quo lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? Quo automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With Quo's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with Quo. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/free and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's quo.com/free. QUO.com/free.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com, or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Now back to Mark Reardon, calling out the nonsense, one segment at a time. 97.1 FM Talk.
He is charged with starting a fire on January 1st, which is the fire that burned down the Palisades. It did take a week to reignite, but he is charged with starting the Palisades fire. He started it on January 1st.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. That's the acting U.S. attorney in Los Angeles making that announcement of the arrest yesterday. Our friend Brian Ping, who's a St. Louis native and an anchored reporter for KNX Radio in Los Angeles, back with us this afternoon. How are you, Brian? Haven't caught up with you in a little while. Hope all is well in your world.
Yeah, long time no see, Mark. Good to be back with you.
Well, this was kind of something that caught me off guard. And even when the news conference started yesterday, I was like, ho hum, what are they going to tell us? But the details of this investigation are just fascinating, aren't they?
Yeah, because you have what happened about a week before this awful tragedy, where this individual that they arrested just goes out and lights this fire. They think they have it under control, and then, wouldn't you know, about 6-7 days later, it gets kicked up by 100-mile-an-hour winds, the likes of which many people will never see in their lifetimes. And we all know what happened after that. So it looks like from the official reports, they're going to put a lot of blame on him. But from what we know, it doesn't tell the whole story. A lot of what happened in the aftermath, there's many different people that factor into this from what they did and didn't do.
So what do we know about this kid? And I never like really saying the names of school shooters or people like this, but he was a 29-year-old kid who was an Uber driver. He dropped passengers off in the Palisades, and then they say that, he used AI and Googled something or said, can you be blamed for a fire for your cigarette? But they think they have it nailed down to the moment where he used a lighter, and they have the technology that can prove that he basically just lit this fire.
Right, because they have to rule out a couple of things, and is somewhere in the investigation. They thought it might have been a cigarette, and one of those Google searches said, "Hey, can a cigarette cause this?" But that was ruled out. Fireworks were ruled out. The notion that this might have been some kind of New Year's party, but they also went through his devices and saw that he had listened to some French rap song that depicted being depressed and burning down a city. And also, like you said, looking up things on ChatGPT, generating images of a city burning down. So no doubt a mentally disturbed individual. But whether he foresaw this actually happening, people play out these scenarios in their minds. He goes out of the wilderness and starts a fire and thinks they have it under control. So you really have to wonder whether he intended to do the kind of damage he did, not knowing exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, and some of what he has said to authorities, I think, since being in custody has been, contradictory to the story that he had told previously, right? And some of that, he tripped up, and that's what people do in situations like this. He got tripped up.
Yeah, exactly. And then he makes his way across the country to Florida. I mean, make no mistake, what he did was a bad thing. He had intent from what we're being told to do harm. The degree that what he did, I mean, if he wanted to cause mass destruction, mayhem, and terror. I mean, he succeeded beyond his wildest dreams, but it just goes to show what can happen when all the elements are right. And that fire was left to smolder pretty much underground for several days. Typically, if it is on firefighters' radar, which this was, they would sit around to babysit it and do mop-up duty. But apparently there was some evidence that shows they didn't do their due diligence in that regard.
Yeah, that's some of the reporting I'm seeing in the LA Times is that there's a lot of questions about why, look, it's not unusual that a fire rekindles days or weeks after it's put out. But in this particular situation, when you had the fire department that thought that they had that fire under control, that's what makes it a little unusual. Certainly the wind conditions were unique, but there's still some questions about whether or not the firefighters did enough in that particular instance, right?
Yeah, and there was also an after-action report that came out the same day, just hours later, and some of these points just really make your jaw drop. A paperwork error resulted in only 1/3 of the deployable state resources being pre-positioned ahead of the fire, and we knew the winds were going to be awful several days in advance. We were reporting on that, and the capacity for destruction there. 40 LAFD engines were unavailable due to maintenance issues. They set up staging areas that blocked some of the response where they decided to do that. They couldn't get engines to where they needed. A delay in communicating evacuation orders and warnings. There was an awful element to the Eaton fire a few miles away in Altadena where alerts were not going out in time or faulty alerts were being sent out. And a lot of people couldn't respond in time, and some lost their lives over this.
Yeah, it's great. There's so much, and you were with us so often back in January talking about this. I was personally captivated by it and was just amazed by some of the visuals that we're seeing. But this was an interesting development with this young guy, and hopefully it seems like, usually, as you know, when the feds are involved, they have these cases pretty buttoned up, but still some questions, Brian, as you indicated, remain. How the Dodgers going to do in the playoffs here? The Phillies got a little closer last night. I'd like to see the Brewers personally in the World Series, since we're not going to be in the World Series here in St. Louis, Brian, until maybe 2035 or 2040 or 2050. I haven't decided.
I'm actually pulling for the Brewers too, because doing it for Euchre, and I think they're due for some success. I like the Brewers. I like going there, and great fan base. The Dodgers had their fun. Of course, if they succeed, they're my home team now. That's fun and all, but they better win today. That's for sure. You do not want to go back to Philadelphia.
Look, you're talking to someone, one of my career highlights, who was once a brat in the sausage race at Miller Park.
Oh, is that right?
I came in last, but I was in the sausage race at Miller Park. Brian Ping, awesome to have you on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
All right,
appreciate
take care. Chris Gervino from Columbia, Missouri. He's on the Mizzou broadcast team. We'll preview Mizzou and Alabama coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for a stall. It's northbound 170 just before Page. They've got the two right lanes blocked through there. So, of course, that is causing a delay. There was a stall, too, westbound 6440 at Timberlake Manor. That one is kind of off on the shoulder now. but a lot of volume in those areas. Now, westbound 70, moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. It's eastbound that's lined up tonight as drivers head in for the Blues game. Same thing on 64, slow pockets east, well, actually right at 270 to Big Bend, and then east of there it opens up. Westbound, though, still a slow go. Approaching Hampton in pockets out through the 70 split. Southbound 270 still has volume from Page down in pockets through 21, and 55 southbound really slow headed toward Bates. Now, if you're headed into Illinois, we look fine. But 5570 is pretty busy east of 111. It's all because of road work in that area and lane closures. This report is brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, we got some baseball going on in the sports world and a pretty big NFL game with the Eagles and the Giants tonight. And I bring that up because you might want to pop around on Underdog Fantasy, which now you can play in Missouri, and you get signed up. I'm going to guide you into some bonus credits and bonus entries in a moment. Pick Saquon Barkley. He's on my fantasy team, one of my fantasy teams. I need him to heat up, so I think he's going to have more than 87 rushing yards tonight. I'd go higher on that on Jackson Dart, who is the new quarterback for the Giants. Will he have more than 178.5 passing yards? How many touchdowns? How many interceptions? You choose all these things on Underdog, and you can have a little fun. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash. It all starts, though, by downloading the app and signing up with my promo code, which is MARKR. M-A-R-K-R. Mark Cox spells his with a C. That won't get you anywhere. Mark R. That secures $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5 on Underdog. Underdog. Make plays. Win money in Missouri. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Mark Cox here. Let me introduce you to my friends at the Lit Cigar Lounge in St. Louis, where luxury meets comfort. Premium hand-rolled cigars, an extensive selection of rare bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails. It's comfortable for non-smokers, too. They have a state-of-the-art ventilation system. They have private lockers and live music every Friday night, perfect for date nights or business meetings or just winding down. Visit litstl.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From Collinsville to Chesterfield, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I had a friend who reached out a short time ago and may have offered me some tickets for the Mizzou-Alabama game because I had not planned on going. I'm going to know here within the hour. I think I have to say yes to that offer, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. My friend Chris Gervino, who is on the broadcast crew for Mizzou Tiger football and basketball with us for a preview of that game. Hello, Chris Gervino. How are you?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited about the way that this football season has started. I did make it for that game where it was like 105 degrees a couple weeks ago, and I was in a suite, thank God. I'll tell you what, though, Chris, as much as I like this team, I want your thoughts on Ahmad Hardy and Bo Pribula, who were interviewed by John Gruden today, which was awesome. But this Ty Simpson kid, let's start with the kid from Alabama. I watched him against Vanderbilt last week, and he looks really hard to contain, and they have a pretty good offensive line. So the Tigers are up against it, aren't they?
They really are. He might be the best quarterback in the country the way he's played so far, Mark. Of course, they had the rough game in the opener, the loss to Florida State, but boy, was that a wake-up call, because since then he and they have been just tremendous. 13 touchdown passes, just one interception, and he's completing about 70% of his passes. And, yeah, you know your stuff. Their offensive line is terrific. The left tackle, a guy named Caden Proctor from Des Moines, Iowa, 6'7", 366 pounds. He protects the blind side of the quarterback. And then the center, Parker Brailsford, is a terrific player. In fact, is the offensive lineman of the week in the SEC. So they've got a trio of wide receivers that are dangerous. I mean, they're Alabama, right? They're usually pretty good. And after a slow start, they're going to be a real test. Right. But how exciting it ought to be Saturday, right?
On the flip side, this story of Ahmad Hardy and what he's doing, or just overall what Mizzou's doing with the run game, Bama has had some challenges with the run game. They've given up some big plays. So, Hardy, just talk about this kid, because we had hoped going into the season as a transfer, he was going to be able to, maybe improve what we had, certainly last year, and he's done more than that, and maybe if he has a good weekend this weekend, should be talked about for the Heisman Trophy.
Well, I think that's right. And again, you're right on it. I mean, Bama has given up some yardage on the ground, so that could bode well for Missouri. Their focal point, Alabama's, has to be on Hardy. He's been outstanding. I've used the line a couple of times now, including on our broadcast, one of the recent games. I watched him in preseason camp, and my eyes about popped out of my head. I mean, I was so impressed by this guy running so fast, hitting the hole quickly, and then just running right over anybody who'd get in his way. I mean, he's just been an outstanding addition, 730 yards already. And, of course, with Jamal Roberts as backup there from St. Louis, the two of them have combined for 1,080 yards. They're the best rushing duo in all of college football right now. They've been that good. So he is really going to get the ball, I would say, early and often, and Alabama knows that, but they're going to have to stop him. And, again, to your initial point, they have struggled a little bit against the run. I'm sure it's a focal point for them in preparation for this game, but Hardy will come at them, and if he has his way, he'll run right through them or around them.
I can't wait to see that. Talk a little bit about Bo Pribula. None of us as fans, we're excited. I was excited when he transferred from Penn State. When I watched film, I thought this kid, dual threat. He can run the ball. He can pass the ball. Seems to have a good arm. He's impressed me from the very beginning. He really seems mature. He's got a lot of composure, and I love what he's doing on the field. Now, having said that, this is not a team that's had big, huge explosive plays too often. I love this Kevin Coleman kid, and I think he needs to be a big part of this weekend for Bo to have success against Alabama.
Right. Coleman, another kid from St. Louis and St. Mary, has been a great addition at receiver from Mississippi State, transferring here from there. But Pribula's been really good. He came from Penn State, didn't play much there behind Drew Aller, who's back for another season at Penn State, and many think will be a first-round pick. So Pribula wanted to transfer to go where he could play and start, and here he is at Missouri, and he's done a nice job, too, completing 76% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, good runner and passer. The one thing I think he's got to be careful of now is the turnovers. Alabama's number one in the country in turnover margin. They are +9. They've only turned it over one time, that lone interception by Simpson. Pribula has thrown an interception in each of his last 3 games. And, of course, he had the fumble. That was a scoop and score for Kansas, which really gave the Jayhawks that lead and kept that game closer. So he's not been horrendous with the football or really careless, but an interception each of the last 3 games. The Bama defense, their ball hawks back there in the secondary. So he's got to be really on the mark and make good decisions. But all in all, he's been really good for Missouri. I think has given the Tigers what they hoped for and needed at that quarterback spot, and they just want him to protect the ball and keep moving forward with this group.
Look, you have a real opportunity to beat Alabama in a great, great climate at the stadium. It looks weird in there, Chris, with the north end zone work. I'll tell you that. It's going to be fun when it's finished, though.
Oh, for sure. It's going up so quickly. It's amazing, Mark. I've got to be careful driving by there at that busy intersection because you always want to glance over and see. So I kind of work my way to a red light if I can. But it is going so fast, that construction. And it is really a construction zone, of course, this season. But they are right on, if not ahead of schedule. And it'll certainly be all in place for opening day next season.
I'm not ready to move past football yet. We got a lot of football, but I got to ask you a little bit here, and we'll have a deeper conversation when the season starts. But Dennis Gates, not only does he have an intriguing team coming in for this season, but the roster and the signees, if you will, that he has for next season are amongst the best in the country, Gervino, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Right now, by the ratings, for what they're worth, Missouri's number one in the country in terms of high school signees for next year. They've got Jason Crow, a left-handed guard from California, the Inglewood area, who's a great scoring guard and is highly rated player in recruiting since Michael Porter Jr. here about 8 years ago. They've got a big guy, Tony Bryant from Tampa, Florida, very athletic, runs the floor, another top 30 kid nationwide. And they've signed Aiden Chronister, a 6'8" shooter from Rogers, Arkansas, really sharp shooter. So they've got three guys, and really it's nice they kind of plugged in, a guard, big guy, and a kind of in-between guy who can really shoot it. So it's a great start for next year's recruiting class, for the class of 26. And, of course, they hope to have a good season between now and then, a season that's about to start here, hard to believe, in just 3 weeks.
It is hard to believe that that's going to happen. All right, Chris, thanks. Have fun this weekend. I mean, this is just so much fun. SEC football, you got two highly ranked teams. It made me a little nervous that Mizzou moves up when they don't play during the bye week. I do think this is going to be a tough game, but let's hope that we can make fewer mistakes and bring this home, because that would be a hell of a start. 6-0, then you're really in the conversation for the playoff. I mean, you got to win this game or you're probably not in that conversation.
Right. It's a big game. It's really exciting. Another sellout, and I'm glad you'll be here. I hope you're here, Mark. It'll be a great weekend here. Early start, so you better leave St. Louis early Saturday morning.
My tickets are not confirmed yet. They were offered. I'm going to know before the evening is up, but I'll let you know. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
Okay,
All
Mark.
right,
Thank
care.
you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Plenty of volume on 170 tonight. There's an accident reported north of Olive, and that really has created a jam that goes almost back through 6440. Now, if you're westbound on 64, moderate volume approaching Hampton, but that's in pockets all the way on out. It really gets slow just west of Highway N out through the 70 split. We've got an accident westbound 70 past 170. That's causing a delay, but eastbound 70, slow-moving traffic 141, and then it looks a little bit better into downtown. Eastbound 40 slowing, too, as people head for the Blues game tonight, and that's east of 270 through Big Bend, but then it's fine. If you're headed into Illinois, really no problems over there. We look good on the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Doors, simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service than at Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
25 years of 97.1 in St. Louis.
Hey, it's Dana Lash. Congratulations to 97.1 FM Talk on 25 years, the station where I got my start. Here's to the next 25 years.
Celebrate the spooky season with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. You can take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleanings. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the saving.
This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak. I am excited to announce the opening of Golden Oak Premier Realty. We're your one-stop shop for financing and buying your home. Not moving? Rates are low and your home's equity is higher than ever. Refinancing with Golden Oak now can save you thousands. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, call Golden Oak today.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
NMLS 114937.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. That's right, weight loss seminar at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
One of the biggest gifts you can give your family is peace of mind. That's why I trust and recommend Civia Law. They've helped so many families, including mine, right here in our community with estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and elder law issues. I've seen how stressful it can be when a loved one passes without a plan. Families are left confused, sometimes tied up in probate court, and it can cost so much in time and money. But with Civia Law, you don't have to worry about that. They'll walk you through everything and even deliver your completed documents in just 2 weeks from your first appointment. And here's something special just for you. Mention the Annie Fry Show, and the first 10 listeners right now will get a free strategy session. That's a $300 value. 833-995-WILL. Just be sure to mention the Annie Fry Show when you call. Civia Law has 7 convenient locations across Illinois and Missouri, including in Edwardsville, Swansea, and Creve Coeur. Secure your legacy and protect the people you love. Call 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We will have a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow at 3 as we take you into the weekend. Jane gets one more week off. We'll have Jeff Rainford on the panel. The comptroller of the city of St. Louis, Donna Behringer, new in that role. Donna was a regular on the roundtable, and then she was elected. It's hard for me to believe that I guess it was like 6 months ago because that was the spring election, right?
Was it?
Yeah, because Carol, remember the mayor's race, they had the primary. And
You're right. We were sitting at fish fries with her.
Right. It hasn't been a year, but Donna's been very focused on the job, but she will make a triumphant return to the roundtable, kind of pinch hitting for Jane tomorrow. Mike Elam from the St. Charles County Council, and Mike, of course, is someone you hear quite often here on 97.1 FM Talk filling in. We'll have Paul Hall on entertainment, and he'll talk about the new movie, which is called Soul on Fire. It opens actually tonight. My daughter and I are going to see it. I have not had a chance to see this story of John O'Leary. It's an amazing, inspirational story. I hope they do it justice with this film. It opens officially today across the country. They're promoting the living daylights out of it, which is so encouraging. They have a big marketing budget, and I think it's one of the things that I've said about my my time as a film critic for really 3 decades, Sue. I did movie stuff on television and radio in a variety of markets. And one of the things that would always happen at this time of year, even though I like some of the artsy-fartsy stuff, it's also driven by social blah, blah, blah. They're preaching at you about this. And believe me, a whole slew of those movies are about to come out as well. But in this particular case, I mean, think about it. We know John's story here in St. Louis. He was burned when he was a child. He set himself on fire. He was playing with fire, right?
Yeah.
And he almost dies. And then Jack Buck, legendary Cardinals broadcaster, gets involved happenstance and ends up getting the credit from John for surviving, for his survival. So to have the rest of the country see a story like this that is true, but by the way, this also filmed in St. Louis, which is cool because
super cool.
We'll get to see. This will be fun because typically it just doesn't happen. What was the story that was out? Oh, this might go back about 10 years. It was about the kid out in St. Charles that was in the middle of the lake and fell through the ice.
Oh,
and,
that's right.
Man, they did and that movie was okay, but they didn't film it here.
Yeah.
Not
and that's
filmed
part
here.
of the thing. You got to have it authentic.
Well, and that's what John told me the last time he was on, that director, I forget his name, I'll refresh my memory by tomorrow night, that he really, once Mr. O'Leary brought him here to St. Louis and started showing him the sites, including Busch Stadium, he said, oh, we have got to do it here. So it's my understanding that even John's parents' home, where this all took place, is featured in the film as well.
You can't beat that.
Yeah, so we'll have John tomorrow night at 5:30. Patrick Myers will be here. We'll do a little music in the 5 o'clock hour. He's the lead singer of a band called Killer Queen. Now, you know you have tribute bands and cover acts out there, but let me compare Killer Queen on a much bigger scale than even El Monstero, which is from here in St. Louis. And El Monstero is great. You know, they do this run at the pageant every year. It usually sells out. They're a Pink Floyd tribute band. They've played Verizon Wireless. They've played at big venues. They played Chicago and Kansas City, but they're a little bit more regional, right? Killer Queen, this guy, Patrick Myers, from London, and he kind of started this when he was in college, didn't think it was going to go anywhere. It's been his whole life.
Wow.
And, you know, essentially started the project shortly after Freddie Mercury died. And I've seen some of the videos. I mean, the dude that plays Brian May in the band looks exactly like Brian May.
I love it when that happens.
I mean, Patrick has a Freddie look. You know, he's got the mustache, and he certainly has the look to it, but it's not quite as stark as looking at his guitar player, who really does look like Brian May. Okay, we have the St. Louis Blues are in action tonight.
Woo.
Sue, as you know, not too far from where we sit right now, the hockey season. There's a lot of hope for this season, I think, too. Cusimano spoke to this on Monday. We'll get Frank on again on Friday, but Chris Kerber was on last night. This is also a new era for the broadcast team. They wrote about all this in The Athletic.
Did they really?
Yeah. And, you know, I haven't spoken. I had Kerber on the show last night. I haven't talked to Chris since this decision was made to put, you know, he and Joey Vitale on the television and the radio. Obviously, I think there was a little controversy to that. But the one thing that popped from the story in The Athletic, and I completely understand that, because from the very first time, nothing against Chris, he's a friend and he's a great broadcaster, but from the very moment I met Joey Vitale, I'm like, this kid is going to be a star. He's got a dynamic personality. He's a good-looking guy.
That never hurts.
But he's a real dude, and people feel that. And I think what happened here, nothing against John Kelly, and he's got a great gig in L.A., is that the folks from FanDuel saw this potential in Joey in particular, you know, bringing new fans in. So I know it's controversial, and a lot of people feel bad for John because, you know, he's such a big part of the broadcast team, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this is all going to work out. And along those lines here tonight.
Stand by. Playback ready. Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, it has to be John Gruden, who became the biggest St. Louis Blues fan last spring when they kind of made a late run into the playoffs. Here he is.
Mike Caruso sent me a St. Louis Blues, New Jersey, man, for tonight's game, 8 o'clock. Check it out. The Minnesota Wild are rolling into town, man. It's hockey season. We got our head coach, Montgomery. What a ball club we have. We still got my man, Jordan Bennington, between the pipes. Captain Braden Shin. I know Shin. I slapped him right on his shoulder pad coming out of the locker room. How about Colton Parayko? You like that guy, Jake?
I like
How about my favorite guy, Pavel Buchnevich? Yeah. I'm going to be an announcer. Hey, you got Braden Shin over here. How about Chris Pronger, man? You going to be up in a booth having a Bud Light? Let's freaking go. It's hockey season. Coach Jim Montgomery, Claude Julien, and our general manager, Armstrong. Look at these jerseys, man. Is this freaking awesome?
That's cool,
This
yeah.
is real St. Louis Blues stuff. Woo! Let's go, Blues! I hope you don't get off the bus, you Minnesota Wildcats. See ya.
How does he have that much energy?
I mean,
and he
it's
has that
incredible.
much fun, isn't it? I mean, that's the best way to get ready. For those of you sitting in your car trying to park right now, John Gruden got you fired up. Sue, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 3.
You got it.
Have a great night.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident on 70 westbound just past 170, kind of closer to McDonald, but they've got the left lane and the left shoulder blocked. This, of course, is creating a jam behind it. Now, eastbound, there is a little bit of volume, especially along 64 if you're headed to the game tonight. It's east of 270 through Big Bend. Now, there was an accident on northbound 170 really close to Olive, and that's left us with a jam in that area. Southbound 55, a little slow Right at Bates, and on the Illinois side, 5570, still busy east of 111, all due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Climate Masters. We specialize in older homes. Climate Masters Heating and Cooling. Trusted heating and cooling installation and maintenance service.